All right, welcome into episode 2 of the Weekend Rewind. We're going to be recapping week 1, and Roger, it didn't go the way a lot of us had expected. My bank account is definitely suffering for some of the bets I placed, and a lot of the bets that I was very, very confident in were on the Alabama Crimson Tide to win by 2 touchdowns, not lose by 2 touchdowns. A wild, wacky week 1. Roger, I know we're going to break down all the big games and the Alabama game specifically, but how you doing, man? How you holding up?
Matt, well, I mean, you know what? The first thing I'll point out after watching a weekend like this or so, and by the way, we got to clarify, we're taping this Sunday morning, so we're going to miss some games that are coming up just to let everybody know if there's a big upset later on, we missed it, whatever. But, I mean, I can't take any more of it right now. I mean, it's just – but the one thing I'll point out, and I've always been a proponent of rankings before the season starts, right? I think you should probably October 1st is probably a good time to start the rankings because there's teams that flow and everything. And if that is any more true today than it was, I mean, but with the transfer portal, NIL, everything that goes on, you just don't know what these teams are going to be, right? And we saw evident of that, all weekend, right? I mean, just teams kind of surprised the team show up. I mean, just a total surprise. Teams I was impressed with, obviously the Auburn Tigers. I thought they needed a big win. They were impressive. Alabama, I mean, stunk the bed. I mean, Arch Manning's going to be okay, people. By the way, they only lost 14-7. And so just let's not panic. And even with Alabama and the performance they showed, and we'll obviously talk about all this stuff, but we're going to be all right. We just, this first initial reaction, everybody freaks out and the moving vans there's 100 moving vans rolling to Tuscaloosa right now. So.
See, I don't know if you guys are going to be all right. I think y'all might be all right, but you're like just all right. I think Alabama might just be all right. I don't know.
Like 8-4?
Yeah. Here's kind of the conclusion I came to after the game yesterday. Even if they do figure it out, and I think they will, I don't think, the wheels are going to completely fall off, but Kalen DeBoer is not going to ever win a national championship at Alabama. He is not the guy that can win a national championship at Alabama. They don't look ready. They don't look tough. They look soft. And look, I love Deontay Lawson from right here in Mobile, Alabama, but there's no way he's 100%. He looked like he was running about as fast as I could run on a football field. And that's not what you want from, your star captain and all that. And I know they're without Keenan, but I just don't think, you tell me if you think I'm wrong, Roger. I just don't think this coaching staff with Womack and all his weaknesses, like the dual threat quarterbacks and all that, I just don't think this coaching staff just isn't going to be able to get Alabama to the standard they're used to.
Well, if you look at the sample size that we have right now, I think a lot of people would agree with that statement you just made, right? I mean, it's like, and I think there's an article on AL.com that like, hey, just get DeBoer out of there now. Just get him out. He's not the guy. Well, and I feel the same way about Hugh Freeze at Auburn, too. I think Hugh Freeze is a great coach, and he can build him up to a certain level, but I don't think he is a coach that can take him to the national championship. I think he'll get in the game, and it'll be something else. But the thing with Alabama and losing to Gus Malzahn, here's a great point. And I read this somewhere, and it made a lot of sense to me, right? So, like, Florida State, complete crap show last year, right? So Norvell knew he had to do something, right? Well, he did something about it. Well, Alabama was kind of in the same boat, right? Kind of struggled towards the end with that. We always showed some deficiencies, and everybody thought hiring Ryan Grubb would fix it. Well, I don't know. And the quarterback situation, I thought Ty Simpson was he any better than Milroe last year? I will tell you this. It's going to be crazy to say, but I almost think that Alabama probably would have won that game with Milroe yesterday, and I'll tell you why. And I wasn't a big Milroe fan, but I'll tell you. But I think Ty Simpson overall can be better. There were 3 or 4 situations in the game where it's 3rd down or 4th down. They went to 4th down so many times where he had a chance to run the ball, and he kind of ran through the hole, and then he saw a guy – and he threw it. It was incomplete. Where if he would have just ran the ball, it would have been a first down. Where Milroe would have run the ball.
Yeah, I think there was a 4th and 7 where he tried to force it to Ryan Williams, and he had 12 yards of clear grass right ahead of him. And Jalen Milroe would have turned that into a 40-yard run.
Yeah, and it would have been different. But, and having him back like Ty Simpson can run. He's not a running quarterback. I mean, but I do think he throws the ball well. I think the problem with Ty Simpson in the game is, dude, everything's a fastball. Everything is a fastball with him. It's like, dude, throw a touch. I tell you, Cade Klubnik threw a really nice pass to a running back. It's just nice, soft pass. If he can kind of – and those things are all correctable. Like Ty Simpson hasn't seen live bullets, right? He saw live bullets. I mean, it's the same thing. I mean, jump subjects, but you talk about Arch finally seeing some live bullets. God, you talk about – off the mark. Oh, God. But he's not bad. He's not – I mean, he's going to be okay. I would love to see what Andrew Luck was his first start as a quarterback. Maybe I go back and look at you for 500 yards or something.
Sure.
But Arch Manning is going to be just fine. He just finally had some live bullets.
See, you mentioned how Ty Simpson, he can run, and they mentioned it on the broadcast how he was the number one dual threat quarterback coming out of high school and all that. He didn't look that fast to me. Like he ran, he'd take off and run. He just didn't seem that fast. Like Nussmeier ran a little bit in that Clemson game, and I thought, why does it look like him and Ty Simpson run at about the same speed? And we clown on Garrett Nussmeier for being a pocket passer and a guy that can't run. And we say Ty Simpson, he's actually this dual threat guy. He's no Milroe, but he can do it. I just wasn't that impressed by the guy, to be fair. And
dude, Simpson?
Yeah.
I don't know. He can run. And here's the thing. I think he'll be able to run the offense. He's going to be fine. He's not. I think his upside's going to be a little better. He's just got to get a little film work and watch it. But I don't know if the plays were called right or something was wrong. They trying to force things. Something was off in the offense. I don't know if it was scheme or if they prepared or they were surprised by the defense. The new defensive coordinator at Florida State who came in and really they kind of dialed it in. And there was a point. So the game starts off, right? Let's go back to the game.
All right, let's walk through it.
Everybody's excited, right? We're getting, let's go for Alabama. Especially after
they run it. They run it 10 times there in that first drive, run it down Florida State's throat. They really only slowed up when they tried to pass the ball.
Yeah,
and then they kind of just completely got away from that. I was like, here we go. Alabama, they're special this year. Florida State, they can't stop them. And then Florida State scored even quicker than Alabama did.
Yeah. I mean, Alabama had the ball for 13 minutes in the first quarter? 13 minutes. So, I mean, that's a long time. They had 8-minute and 50-minute drive, right? Went right down the field, and everybody's feeling good. Well, Florida State, and they got a break because there was a penalty, remember? On like a third down, there's a pass interference or something. They got a penalty that kind of extended the drive, and then they went ahead and scored. We get the ball, we go back down, and of course, we attempt a 53-yard field goal that went 52 yards. I mean, it was straight down the middle. It just fell short. So, so that could have been difference. And then I think Florida State scores again, and they go ahead, right? I think that's how that happened. And they scored another touchdown, and they were ahead. And it just, after that, it was like they made the adjustments. They figured it out. And then as the game wore on, it just looked like the worst thing that any Alabama fan would think is, are we soft? Are we pushovers? What's wrong something's wrong. But there was a point in time about towards the end of the third quarter where the defense, they must have got to chew it out. They played tough and they fought and they were smacking them and getting them down on the first hit. And then that just went away. And Castellanos, who all that stuff over the summer, I hate when people talk the talk and then they walk the walk. I hate that, especially when it's against my team. But, dude, talk the talk and just lived it. And the energy in that stadium was crazy. And Gus Malzahn. Do I have to look at another pick? Gus Malzahn, golly. I mean, I got a picture.
You said it feels like old times, Roger.
Oh, geez, Gus Malzahn. I mean, can you believe it? He's run that stupid little simple high school offense. I've seen that offense forever. It's the same thing.
But
figure it out. Stop it.
Why can Kane Womack not stop an offense like this whenever they're running the quarterback? What is it? Is it in his scheme? Because we know that the players are talented. It's not like there's just a bunch of scrubs or two-star players out there. They're all 5 stars.
So Florida State was running 3-3-5, right? They talked about that's all they could talk about. What is Alabama? What is Kane Womack's? Is he a 3-3-5 guy? Is he a 4-2-5 guy?
Yeah, he's a 4-2-5 guy.
4-2-5 guy? Yeah, 4-2-5 works and everything. But I'm like, I don't know. Saban's 3-4 defense worked pretty good, didn't it?
Yeah.
But, of course, Tim Keenan being out. Look, Tim Keenan being out, that didn't affect Alabama. I mean, to a degree, because they didn't. Well, I mean, they did kind of run the ball, but they ran the ball with the quarterback. But when you look at the total amount of yardage, I think that Florida State only had like 340. I mean, they didn't have – it wasn't like we gave up a bunch of yardage. It felt like we gave up 100,000 yards. But that's not the case. I mean, statistically, stats are for chumps, right? But if you look at the stats, the defense – I mean, it was only 300. What happened yards? Yeah, I think you got the stats.
So I got the stats here. I got the stats here for you. So passing the ball, Florida State only 152 yards, only 9 of 14. They did not have to throw the ball. But then rushing the ball, 46 carries for 236 yards. Alabama's run defense just was non-existent. And then on the opposite side, for Alabama running the ball, 29 carries for only 87 yards, only averaging 3 yards a carry. And they completely got away from the running game. Literally after that first possession where they marched straight down the field. I just don't know why you would completely flip what is working.
Well, what happens is because they were behind. Remember? I mean, Alabama scored, then Florida State scored, then we missed a field goal, then they started. So we were behind. And it's not time to panic, right? You just stick to what you can do. But I don't know if the defense changed. They brought different kind of blitzes or we didn't adjust or something. But, I don't know why you would go away from it. But here's something interesting. First of all, Brailsford ended up being the hardest running back we had. Did he? I mean, the center, when he picked that ball up and ran.
Tackles.
Yeah, I think he was the toughest guy we had. And it's interesting, and somebody pointed this out to me, but Bernard and Brailsford, the two guys that came over for Washington, are the hardest. They're the hardest fighting guys on the team. I mean, you know what I'm saying? It's just
the culture, man. It's the culture. They just are not a tough team. They're soft and they're slow, and that is not a good combination in the SEC or in college football in general. And then I also think, so this is kind of what pissed me off a little bit in that game. Not that I'm an Alabama fan, but if I was, I'd be furious. So whenever they scored their last touchdown to make it a 7-point game, 5 people all meet in the end zone to hit their choreographed touchdown dance. What the heck? No, that's what I don't get. You're already down. You're trying to be scrappy and get back in it, but you score a touchdown and say, hey, come on, guys. Here we go. And they hit their little dance together. I'm like, what are we doing? You need to hand the ball to the ref. There's nothing to celebrate, right? There's nothing to celebrate about.
Nick, I wish you hadn't brought that up to me because I just threw up in my mouth. Holy because I guess I was just so oh my God. I think I was relieved that we scored that I really didn't even pay attention to it. But that would definitely be something that would make me very irritated. But now that you're saying that, I kind of recall they kind of got in there and tried to do their – what's going on, people? Let's get them. But what's interesting, and I saw this stat somewhere, I think this was on ESPN, it says fewest completions in a win over Alabama since 2008. So Florida State had 9 completions and won the game. Michigan had 11 completions in the bowl game in 2000 last year, right? Oklahoma had 9 completions last year, and they won the game. So 3 all-time Saban classes.
I mean, how many completions did Pavia have? It couldn't have been that many.
Not many, but he had more than that, I guess. But it's just amazing that. So what do we? It's obviously.
I mean, look, based off the Auburn game from Friday night, they might win the Iron Bowl 45-10, based off the way that they were running the ball.
Pump the brakes. I get it, but there's still a lot of football to be played. And look, Alabama's not going to be as bad. They're going to fix themselves. Hopefully. They'll have a slump buster against Louisiana Monroe, but that's a flashback to 2007 with Saban. So we'll see. You want me to give you some depressing stats, Roger? No. Yes. Okay. Give me one.
All right.
I'm really mad about the celebration. That's something I don't know. No, I don't know why my group text didn't pick that up and say. Well, because I got old linemen. That's what we do.
Well, and that's the difference.
We bitch about celebrations.
The coaching style and the culture. When did we see Kalen DeBoer just, blowing a gasket and ripping into someone and spitting all in someone's face from cussing him out? He couldn't.
He's shocked. He's in shock. He doesn't know what's going on. They showed his face on the sideline. He literally looked in shock. Like,
I know.
What in the heck is happening? Because we heard all this stuff out of this defense. It's going to be. I'm afraid it's going to be a long season.
Yeah, I'm with you.
I don't think we're going to go 2-10, but every game is good. I mean, every Saturday is just going to be gut wrenching. So, yeah. But there's still potential. Right. I mean, it's the first week. There's a lot. I don't want to overreact. People have a tendency to do that. Throw the ball.
That's the thing.
I don't think overreact, but I do.
I don't feel like we are overreacting. But what you see, this is just not Nick Saban would never have lost this game, and you can't necessarily compare Nick Saban to Kalen DeBoer. They're completely different, but they are both the most recent coaches of Alabama. So unfortunately, if you're Kalen DeBoer, the job.
Mike Schiller wouldn't have lost this game.
Sure. Right. No, Brian Kelly wouldn't have lost this game.
We got to talk about him.
Here's your depressing stats for you. So since 2007, in games when Alabama was favored by at least 14 points, Nick Saban is 131-2. Kalen DeBoer is 4-4.
Oh, well, you got to give it. Look, he doesn't have enough time. Give him more time.
Give him more time. He's going to win 130 straight.
Yeah, you got. Come on, you got to give him some time. What are you talking about? Give me.
Well, hey, you know what?
Stats. Hey, what's that guy behind you doing?
Oh, you mean this guy?
Yeah, that guy.
That's how a lot of Bama fans are feeling.
The meme of the week, yeah.
Well, you know what Kalen DeBoer's buyout is if Alabama were to
million.
Run. Yeah.
Look, Alabama doesn't have that kind of – I'm just telling you, Alabama does not have that kind of money. But it's going to be – hopefully they'll get it right. But I can just tell you, with all the group texts and everything I'm getting with people, they'll discuss it. With Louisiana Monroe this week, let's make the adjustments. Let's figure it out because – Caden Proctor's a big guy. And sometimes the offensive line, the first drive totally. And I think somebody made a reference to it in the postgame. It was like, we kind of lapsed a little. Or we thought it was going to be this easy. Of course, it wasn't easy. It was a lot of plays. 16-play drive for 8 minutes. But, man, I like that grinding it out. But, yeah, they just kind of went away from it, I think, when they got behind. But, hey, kudos to Norvell. Kudos to Castellanos for just – talking the talk and walking the walk, and he's energetic. And that Florida State offensive line, who's all new guys, like Micah Pettis, the tackle, he's from Alabama, went to Mississippi, went to Ole Miss, started at Ole Miss. The center was at Alabama. So, he was at Alabama before he went to Wake Forest, and now he's at Florida State. And Rondell Williams, on the critical fourth down, just – what's his name? Rondell Williams? What's the running back? If it was at Alabama, it's at Florida State. That's fourth down.
Let's see.
Rondell. I can't.
It's Roydell.
Roydell Williams. What's his last name? Williams?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Roydell.
No, that's another thing. Like on 4th and 1, you would always feel like Alabama would always have the advantage. It's 4th and 1. You don't go against Alabama on 4th and 1. You might as well punt it or pull out something tricky where you're throwing it. Like you can't just run it up the gut. Nowadays, you definitely can.
Yeah. But he just lowered his shoulder and just ran over. I think Dante Lawson's who he ran over, I think.
Deontay Lawson, that pass that went to the running back on whatever touchdown that was, I think it was like a wheel type route. Deontay Lawson was lost. He has to be moving at about 40% speed. He's not running quick. He's not hitting hard. He felt like a delayed reaction every time.
Part of that is too mentally when you come from an injury and you got to get ready to go play a game. Sometimes that you got to get over. You got to play and like, okay, I survived that. That's okay. I think my knee's okay. I'm good. I can go. So I think that's part of that. The processing of having an injury and coming back. I think that might be part of it. But all right, man, you want to put this one to bed? Let's move on. Can we just?
Sure. Hey, I just want to say, if you're an Atlanta Falcons fan. And Michael Penix Jr. is your quarterback. You might be feeling really good because that might have been the only reason Kalen DeBoer ever went to a national championship game.
Well, they had a good team that guys bought in. Well, who knows? When your office looks like a cell phone store.
Verizon.
Hey, no. Perfect example, right? This weekend, didn't Verizon went out. People were having trouble with Verizon. Did you know that?
No.
Anybody that had a Verizon service, it went out. It was out all over. People couldn't get the service. And guess who Kalen DeBoer's office looks like? It looks like a Verizon store. It explains it, right? It's the Verizon effect this weekend is horrible on people.
Yeah. All right. Well, let's I guess we've said everything we can say about Alabama.
Let's see if let me look at my notes, see if there's anything else I missed. No, I just said Brailford's our hardest runner. So
yeah,
that's my
yeah. There you go.
The center's the hardest running back on the team.
And another thing, Ty Simpson, he kept running backwards like he was Barry Sanders.
No, that's the part. Escape forward, please. Their whole
like Castellanos, he would dive for it. It felt like when he get hit, he'd get 5 yards just by like zooming forward.
I think, and film study will show, quit retreating. Look, he retreated, and to kind of go against he's not fast enough. A lot of quarterbacks can't retreat 30 yards and get back to the line of scrimmage to throw a ball, which he did. So that does show you that he is fast to kind of go against he doesn't look that fast. Well, first of all, he backed up 30 yards. And I don't know, quit trying to run the.
I do have an issue. This is more so with every game that I saw yesterday. And I get that we don't have a bunch of Cam Newtons or whoever that quarterback is for South Florida who looks like Cam Newton, but so many times these players would run out of bounds with 1 yard to go. And then they wouldn't get this 4th and 1. Put the shoulder down and get that extra yard and let's get a new set of downs.
What about the running back at Auburn? He gets in the game, he runs and stay in bounds at the end of the game, and he steps right out of bounds. It's like, just fall down. What are you doing? And but that's coachable and that's fixable. So let's move on.
All right. Well, why don't we talk about the other in-state team who played on Friday night and had a lot more success than the Crimson Tide, and that's the Auburn Tigers. They go over to Baylor and win 38-24. And look, you talk about how Jackson Arnold didn't have to barely throw the ball to beat Alabama when he was at Oklahoma. Pretty much the same story here when they were playing Baylor. He only completed 11 passes for 100 yards, but on the ground, 16 carries, 137 yards, and 2 touchdowns. And I guess my kind of rapid reaction and first thoughts from this game is I do think that Auburn is better than they were last year.
No doubt.
But I still don't know if Jackson Arnold can throw the ball because Baylor, they never adjusted their defense to test them to throw the ball. I think they were just so scared of Singleton from Georgia Tech, that transfer, and Cam Coleman, that they just let Jackson Arnold and these running backs just gash them all game.
We're not gonna get beat by the deep ball, right? They didn't make the adjustment, but great job by Hugh Freeze and his staff to get Jackson Arnold, who, we like you said, I think there's still some question marks. And there's a couple runs he had where the defense didn't fill the gap. Like, defense is responsible for the gaps, right? And you kind of saw like a safety kind of overrun a gap, and then Jackson Arnold kind of came through. So teams will adjust to all that, and they're going to – I think you're right. The game plan going against Auburn is like, all right, we're going to make you throw the ball. Even though I know you're probably the biggest assets you have are your receivers.
Yeah.
Can I point one thing out this is the thing about Hugh Freeze that bothers me, and everybody, he did a good job. He won the game. I don't think he's a national champion. I don't think he can take Auburn to the national championship. Can he make Auburn good? Yes. I think he's a good football coach, and I think but to take it to the next level, and I'll tell you why. Here's a prime example. You have your receiver, Cam Coleman, who's phenomenal. I agree, right? He's probably one of the best receivers in the country. He's about there playing with 2 watches on. And I ain't talking like an athletic watch, like an Ironman watch. It's like a watch and another watch or some kind of goofy thing on his wrist.
Is that allowed?
I don't even know if it's allowed. It shouldn't. Look, the coach has to be able to discipline your team and your players and go, look, no watches. That's a pretty simple rule, right? And I think that Hugh Freeze allows that or lets that happen. There's an underlying sense that that's just a problem. That just bothers me. It's just one of those things that bothers me. It's like, dude, be a team. That's an individual. Don't wear a watch. It's not even an eye watch or whatever you call that thing. But it's a real watch. It looks like a roller. It's a fancy. It might be $1 million. He's probably got a sponsor to wear it. But that's what I'm saying is that kind of stuff like that. That's not should be allowed. Don't wear jewelry. You don't wear jewelry. It's just don't do it. I think that's just something that's just a point that just bothers me. I'm sorry. Cam Coleman is great, but I'm just saying, I think that's the underlying thing. It's like, don't let that get away.
Well, looking at, outside of their accessories and looking at how they did.
First of all, offensive line, I thought they did a good job.
Hey, how about Keldrick Falk? That guy's going to be a top 10 pick. He's going to be a top 10 pick in the NFL draft.
And he came up big when he needed to, right? He kind of was quiet all game, but hey, when you had to have a sack at the end of the game, man, he hawked down
that wide receiver, chasing down like 30 yards.
Yeah. No, I think a lot of positive things for Auburn, and I think I'm leaning more to the 10-2 Auburn than I am the 6-6 Auburn. I think they're going to be okay. And I mean, like I said, Hugh Freeze.
And here's how, leaning toward them going 10-2 more likely than 6-6 because they didn't even show everything they had in their bag. Alabama, they were trying to pull everything out their bag to try to win that game and get it back close. Auburn, Hugh Freeze, they were like, all right, hey, let's just keep running it. We know weeks in the future they're probably going to have to get into a game where Jackson Arnold's attempting 25 passes, right? But knowing that, hey, we don't even have to use our superstar, maybe best wide receiver in the SEC, Cam Coleman, and maybe the best transfer receiver there was from Georgia Tech. There's still so much to be unlocked in this offense and to be revealed. And I feel like just knowing, hey, even if we don't throw the ball, we can go beat teams at the caliber of Baylor. Auburn, I think Auburn's in for a really good year.
Yeah, I think they're going to be pleasant. So my surprises of the weekend, I think the way Auburn played, that would line up in one of my good surprises.
Yeah.
Where Alabama's the bad surprise.
Yes.
So there's a lot in that bad surprise. Because that's all I'm thinking, it just goes back to how I started this show. It's like, quit doing the rankings. This misleads us. And with the transfer portal and NIL and all that, rosters change. I mean, Florida State's a prime example. I mean, my goodness. They had to address the offensive line, and they addressed it. I mean, that offensive line looks so different than what Florida State had last year. It's unbelievable. Tough, hard, physical, but
everything looked different. Everything.
Yeah, everything looked different. So, but hey, good for them, and we'll keep rocking and rolling. But
that's right.
Good.
All right, let's move to another game featuring a SEC opponent. All the games that we're really going to do deep dives on today feature some team from the SEC. And the next one, let's talk about the LSU Tigers. Brian Kelly taking on your boy Dabo Swinney over there at Clemson. And LSU, they come out on top 17-10. Probably should have been 24-10. They called that touchdown back. Roger, are you with me? Was that a touchdown?
100% that was a touchdown.
All right. Yeah. There you go.
100%.
But look, LSU, they had a whole new – go for it.
The officials that they go to, like, say, do this thing. The official during the Alabama game, whenever they go to him, he's literally wrong. I don't know who it is. It's not the guy that was in the evening game, but the guy they go to, he's wrong every time. I swear last year, if you look at his record, they go, I would call that, and he's wrong. So just whatever he says, I forget I can't remember his name, but the guy in Alabama, he's always wrong. Always wrong.
All right.
Always wrong.
All right. Well,
we'll
send that over to
I'd call that a fumble. No, it wasn't a fumble. Or it was targeting. I wasn't targeting. I mean.
Yeah, we need to put a note into the officiating office.
Yeah, with Williams getting his, bumping his head and all that, that wasn't targeting. His damage was when his helmet hit the ground. And that's why I used to tell people all the time, how many concussions you had? Well, the two of them I had, it wasn't from hitting somebody. It was when somehow I felt and I hit the ground and my back of my head hit the thing.
Right.
I think the helmets are built to take force here, not basically back here. And that's the worst concussion I had. It's just like what Ryan Williams did. I mean, that was,
all right. But looking at LSU and Clemson, Brian Kelly, he had not won an opening game his entire time being there. He finally gets his first win in week one, and it's against the best opponent that he has faced in week one, Clemson on the road. And this was a great game. And look, Clemson, they lost their week one game last year to Georgia, and that was a blowout. They looked horrible in that game, and they were able to still figure it out as the season progressed, get into the playoffs. I think Clemson's going to be fine. I think LSU is really fine. I think this was not like a national championship preview, but this was a preview of two teams who are going to be competitive for the national championship by the time we get towards the end of the season.
Well, that's the thing. Is that a preview? So I saw somebody doing a recap and go, Texas, Ohio State's going to be a preview for the playoffs. I think LSU Clemson's a preview for the playoffs. I'm not necessarily so. I told you I wasn't really a fan of Texas anyway because they had to replace so many people and Archie's new and all that. And I don't even know if Ohio State is going to be. I mean, I wasn't impressed with them as I was Clemson and LSU. Like, just really impressed. And Brian Kelly, as much as I dog him, man, I'm just going to give him credit, man. They did a great job. And Nussmeier. So if we were to rank our week one Heisman candidate, just week one, based off week one, who are your Heisman candidates? Obviously, Nussmeier's number one. He dropped that dime. I mean, he's phenomenal. Yeah. And I'm going to give it Jackson Arnold for a week 1 performance, right? He's kind of ends up being.
What about Castellanos?
Castellanos, you talk it, you walk it. Yeah. Let's go. You got to be in there. So when you look at like the first week Heisman Trophy guys, those are the 3 guys I would look at. Just so you know.
Now, how are we feeling about LSU? You've been critical of Brian Kelly.
Look, LSU, this was a big test for him. I know Clemson's a well-coached, disciplined team and plays hard. And for Brian Kelly to go in there on the road and get that win in a hostile environment, that really, outstanding. But it makes a difference when you play with an experienced quarterback. Experienced quarterback makes a difference. And both of them had experienced quarterbacks. But Cade Klubnik kind of does the same kind of, I don't know, like, there was a couple of years ago when he played a game against Florida State where he kind of did the same stuff, just like he kind of just misses here and there, does something dumb or doesn't do something that, I don't want to say dumb or I don't know what it is. It's just something isn't not a finisher. I don't know. There's just something there. I'm not quite sure what it is, but we'll see as the season goes on. They're both really, really, really good teams.
Yeah.
And definitely a preview for the playoffs. They're both going to be in the playoffs.
I think right now, if we had to completely remake all of our rankings and predictions, LSU is one of the top contenders of the SEC, right? Yeah, I think you have to put them up there with Georgia and everything.
Yeah.
And all those top guys. Texas, if you even have Texas still up there.
Yeah. No. I don't. No.
All right, let's talk about that early game, Texas, Ohio State, a real defensive matchup. And I do think that this was probably 2 top 5 defenses going against 2, young freshmen. I know Arch Manning's not a freshman, but Julian Sayin is. 2 young, unproven quarterbacks. Ohio State, they end up winning 14-7. And look, I think we all just did wrong by Arch Manning by, destiny. Yeah, just saying, he's a Manning, so he's going to be the number 1 pick in the NFL draft. Texas has got to be the favorite to win the championship. He's got to be the favorite to win the Heisman.
I will say
him, and now I do think I'll say this. I do think that Steve Sarkisian kept the training wheels on. I don't think he really gave Arch Manning that much of an opportunity to try and show some of the Manning magic if he does.
Look, I don't think you can't keep the training wheels on when you're playing Ohio State and you got to win a football game. You got to call. Don't hold anything back. You call your offense like you should call your offense. He doesn't need to hold the train. Manning was just he was grossly inaccurate. That's the key take, like grossly inaccurate.
That third down, that 3rd and 5 where he threw it behind, Wingo, and he had to try and twist back. Yeah, that's an easy throw.
They had a 4th down where they ran a guy just leading. He threw it behind him. And I think part of that might be, too, is like, think about this now. Now you're going live action. Things speed up in a real game, right? It's different than practice. And I don't think Arch, he seems to have a really laid-back attitude, which I think can benefit him. But he was throwing so funny. I think he was trying to be like Patrick Mahomes and throw sidearm. And he threw one ball where he just like did that. And I'm like, what are you doing? Just step into the throw and throw it like you've been taught, like Peyton would do. I mean, Peyton needs to pull him aside and go, hey, man, you need to work on your fundamentals. But everybody talking about him working on, but he's just like Mahomes. He's kind of out there slinging it side, just like the quarterback. I mean, the quarterback at Nebraska would drive me crazy if I'm a coach. Riola, he's side off. He just drives me crazy. I couldn't live. I was like, dude, step into. There's sometimes you can do your off-platform throws. I get that, but man, when you have a throw, it's 4th down and 1, and you got to complete the pass. Step into the throw, complete the pass. Do your fundamentals. He doesn't do it, but he was so grossly inaccurate. Or the ball was placed in the wrong side. That's kind of happened a little bit to Ty Simpson. He's kind of do a little behind or hit the wrong shoulder. You're supposed to hit the back shoulder. You hit the front shoulder with the pass. Just a little inaccurate. But yeah. But all that's fixed, and all of that is fixable and coachable. And Texas is going to be just fine.
Yeah,
Texas is going to be just fine.
They'll be fine. Maybe we're looking at a 10-2, 9-3 Texas team here. But 4th down, 1 of 5 on their 4th down conversions there for Texas. They try to push there, right there at the end zone. It feels like Ohio State is just a defense that you just cannot convert. any type of like QB sneak. I think they stopped Penn State, and there's another big game they had where I think it might have been Texas in the playoffs or something. And they held up there at like the 1 yard line.
Well, and the thing about it is that's the difference in the game, right? And look, the score was only 14-7, which I think probably surprised everybody, right? Like that was really a defensive game. But Ohio State on 4th and 1 or what they goal line, they get the touchdown, and Texas doesn't. That's really kind of the difference in the game, if you want to look at it like that. So, but
yeah,
it was a good game.
Talking about Ohio State for a little bit, Julian saying I was not that impressed by. He's
okay. Hey, look. I'm not judging him at all.
I haven't been that impressed by any of these young quarterbacks, but because they're young and they're playing their first game. But no one really stepping onto the scene as a superstar.
Julian Sand did what he was asked to do, and I think that's the best. He didn't put him in a bad situation. Didn't make mistakes. He ran the game like a quarterback, right? He just did what was asked of him and did it. I think Arch tried to do too much and tried to be just gross, like I said, grossly inaccurate. I was like, what is going on? That's pitiful, and that'll kill you. I mean, accurate. Dylan Gabriel's accurate. Tua Tagovailoa, accurate. I like accurate.
Yeah, I think
accurate. I think inaccurate is terrible.
Yes.
Be accurate, please.
Bad, accurate, good.
Yeah.
Breaking news.
Yeah. So it was but look, they're going to be fine too. But it's like I said, we got to let everything shake out, and we'll see how it goes. Tennessee, outstanding performance right against Syracuse. You didn't know.
How about UCLA getting blown out by Utah with Nico Iamaleava, however you say his last name. Nico. He's over there, looked horrible.
But you know what? Hey,
and then they got the old UCLA quarterback at Tennessee, and he looks awesome.
Did you see that bomb he threw?
Yeah.
They always talk about Nico's strength in his arm. Aguilera, that bomb he threw, I was like, I guarantee you, man, Heupel's sitting there going, that's why they let him go, right? If Heupel really loved Nico, they would have never let him go. But they knew he had flaws or he's limited or whatever. But I will say this, Nico looks better in a UCLA uniform than a Tennessee uniform.
Those UCLA
just looks better.
Their uniforms are just clean. They're clean looking. Yeah. That baby blue and that gold, it just looks really good.
Yeah, I love it. But, hey, a game we had, one of the teams that I have making the playoffs is Georgia Tech, and we've kind of talked about Georgia Tech. Georgia Tech goes out to Colorado. Completely not surprised that Georgia Tech won on the road out in Colorado, but I was surprised how Colorado played. I mean, that game was, 24-20, something. It's a close game. It wasn't a blowout.
See, I don't think the game was that close. I mean, it was close. The first three possessions, Georgia Tech gave Colorado the ball. If they don't do that and win, how often is Georgia Tech turning it over like that? Really never. They got back on track. And then how about the horrific time mismanagement there at the end of the game where Colorado was trying to come back and they ran off
use any timeouts.
A minute and 18 seconds and did 3 plays, and they kept 2 timeouts in their pocket.
Yeah, that's not good. But that might be Dion under some treatment. Did you see on the sideline he had a potty? I mean,
sponsored by Depends.
Yeah, but you know what's interesting about that? That's so fun. And he is so. I'm surprised he came back. I give him credit, but dude has health issues. I would not. I mean, besides his kids leaving and stuff, if he just said, "Hey, man, I'm going to the house. This is ridiculous. I got enough money, and I'm falling apart." I can't imagine. Look, I have a hard time standing for 2 hours. I can imagine having one. He's got a bad toe, right, or foot, or leg, or whatever.
He doesn't have a toe. I think they cut it off.
Yeah, like 3 or 4 of them. But he's got all these. I mean, what a trooper, man! And he doesn't cuss or drink. I mean, that's crazy. I don't know how that happens.
Better man. I do feel like at the end of the game there, when what's his name, the transfer out of Liberty, the quarterback, but
Salter,
that's Caden Salter. Yeah. I do think that a lot of the reason for that clock mismanagement, I think in years past, Dion would just say, Shadur knows what he's doing. Shadur knows how to run this clock. Shadur knows when to call a timeout. Shadur knows how to get the ball out of bounds, work the sidelines, all that. And I think in that game, that was when Dion kind of realized, like, oh, man, this isn't Shadur. This guy can do some things that Shadur can't do, right? He's a way more athletic, running, dual-threat guy. Right. But in terms of managing that clock at the end, Shadur would have done 1,000 times.
Well, that's because Salter used to be under Hugh Freeze, so Hugh Freeze doesn't know how to manage a clock either.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and he won't have to manage the clock if they're always going to be up 14.
I know. That's what I'm saying. You don't want to worry about it. Yeah, what about Gus Malzahn, that little smirky smirker? He's a little smirky smirker. Just kills me. But it's crazy. And then, it's interesting. Obviously, as we said, we're taping this Sunday, that the games we got coming up are going to be interesting. So.
Oh yeah, we'll see, Catholics, convicts. We're gonna see Bill Belichick over there at North Carolina with Norris Sellers about to kick off here in a little bit.
Yeah,
against Virginia Tech, the battle of the
Beamer. Yeah, it's gonna be great. And they're in Atlanta, which is weird. It's kind of a neutral site game, so it'll be good. But it's good. It's good. I'm glad college football's back. I'm glad we get into it. Obviously, not the way I prefer it to start. But look, man, it's a long season. A lot of things can happen. We'll see where it goes.
All right. Well, hey, before we wrap up, give me just look into your magic crystal ball. Based off this one game, what do you think of Alabama's record? What's your adjustment? I know you had them in the Natty. Are you standing 10 toes down on that? They're going to win 11 straight, or?
I think I don't know. They can. Well, they got the roster, right? They've got players, and I think maybe they come to the Jesus meeting. Maybe they can right the ship. I'll know more at the Georgia game. Well, even the Wisconsin game. Look, I don't know.
Defense looked solid.
Yeah, look, I don't know. I can't. I'm still wounded, so
I hear
I'm still in shock.
I'll let you heal.
Yeah. There you go. There's your face for your.
That's it. Perfect. There it is. There it is.
Sad.
Well, I'll let you heal. I'll let you recover a little bit, Roger. But not the way that we expected week one to kick off. But I'm glad that it's here, and I'm excited to see how all these new narratives continue to unfold and evolve as the season.
And by the way, as our group of 5, Boise State looks like they're gonna be out. They got beat, and Tulane looks really good. Boy, Tulane was mad that Northwestern wouldn't let them approve their Hurricane Katrina.
Oh yeah, I did see that.
Ooh, they were mad. Don't disrespect our school. What are you doing? That's the kind of stuff I love. Summerall, he's gonna be a hot commodity. Summerall, I'll tell you, I'll make a prediction. Summerall will not be in New Orleans next year.
Oh, is he going to be in Tuscaloosa?
No, hell no, he's not going to be in Tuscaloosa. Gruden's going to be in Tuscaloosa.
Okay.
I don't know how we don't have Gruden in here now.
I'm sure. Hey, I bet if you guys could do a little mid-season trade, you probably would. I don't think Greg Byrne would say no.
Yeah. But the sad thing is Tulane wouldn't say yes to DeBoer.
Yeah, true. He could have, if he would have just stayed in Washington. They would have been already etching out the statue of him in front of their stadium right now.
Yeah, that's right. His feet would be complete.
That's right. That's right. Well, Roger, man, enjoy the rest of the weekend. Enjoy all these games that we're going to get, and I'll holler at you next week, man.
Hey, don't forget the Red Tail Classic too. Tuskegee, Winston-Salem State.
There we go. Winston-Salem State.
Yeah, the Winston-Salem State. I forgot their nickname.
Oh, you need to learn that. You got a couple hours to learn that.
Yeah. I'll figure it out.
All right. Well, Roger, I appreciate it, man.
See you guys.
All right, welcome into the NFL side of Weekend Rewind. Crazy college football week one, but we're coming up on week one of the NFL season. Last week, we did all of our predictions and previews with every AFC team. Today, we're going to do all the NFC teams, every division, and we're going to go through our complete NFC playoff bracket, and we will reveal our Super Bowl predictions as well. We both were in agreement. We've got the Baltimore Ravens coming out of the AFC, so we'll see here in just a little bit who we have coming out of the NFC, but Stephen Root joins me as always. Root, how you doing, buddy?
Wonderful, bud. Coming to you from a beautiful hotel room in Canfield, Ohio. Going to be traveling around the next couple of weeks, but I will find a way to join you and do this show every week. I think I'm very happy we're doing the NFC today. I feel like this conference has maybe a little more juice than the other great teams in this conference. I'm ready to go.
Well, yeah, both of our teams are in this conference as I'm repping my guy, Michael Penix, behind me, and you're repping your Detroit Lions on the shirt. And yeah, the virtual background, is it to show my Falcons fandom? Is it to cover up all the dirty laundry that's behind me? Because I've kind of been kicked out of my office space. I'm not going to speak on that. But we are going to break down all of the NFC divisions. Why don't we go ahead? Let's start with the NFC East. The reigning Super Bowl champion Philadelphia Eagles reside there. And why don't we just start by talking about the Philadelphia Eagles? Their Vegas win total, they're sitting there at their over under is 11.5 there for the Philadelphia Eagles. And I don't see how any other team can really win this division against the Eagles. I think, I don't even think, let me not say I don't think Jalen Hurts is that good. I think Jalen Hurts has some holes in his game, but I think the Philadelphia Eagles offense, their coaching staff, they do probably a better job than anyone at hiding some of his weaknesses. And, his weakness is that he's not going to be able to throw for 400 yards, 4 touchdowns, and win a game that way. I just don't think Jalen Hurts has that in him. But because of how good the Eagles are and how great their defense is and how they have the most dominant rushing attack in all of football, he doesn't have to do that. So it's really just it's a moot point. But Saquon Barkley, he's back after the crazy, insane year that he had this year. I know in fantasy football talks, people are saying kind of fade him because how can he repeat that and stay healthy all that time? I don't know. We'll see. But my prediction is just based off, if the Philadelphia Eagles have, for the most part, a clean bill of health going into the playoffs. I'm sure some players will miss a week or a few weeks here and there, but I'm very high on the Eagles. That'll be revealed when we get to our playoff predictions, but I just think the Eagles are great. They didn't lose anyone, it feels like, anyone really of note. Their offensive line is the best in football, and it feels like it always will be, no matter who they're putting there on that offensive line. As long as they're in Philadelphia, in that organization, with that coaching staff. And look, I've been kind of not a Sirianni hater, but I've been critical of him. And last year, what can I say? He's won me over. Jalen Hurts has won me over. Devontae Smith, everybody. They've proven that they can do it, and they're all just so young, and I just don't see them missing a step. Maybe they even get a little bit better this year.
That will be hard to do. The way it clicked last year, I do believe in Sirianni and the discourse around Jalen Hurts. I think that's a popular thing people want to talk about. How much does he and his skills, how much do they elevate this team? I think he is perfect for the system. I'm not going to buy into him being a top 5, maybe a top 10 quarterback in this league. I think he's very good. He's on the perfect team. You put him on a bad team, I don't think he elevates them to a good team. I'm one of those. That's okay. But with the talent around them, this team is here to stay. I mean, they've invested a lot into a lot of guys, but the way they draft, Howie Roseman, they're incredibly well ran. They draft incredibly well. Half of their team is Georgia players right now, but taking Jihad Campbell out of Alabama, they always find a way to steal guys that are somehow still available to them. I'm not gonna fade Saquon, but just a guy you have to monitor the health when he's on the field. I do not think that there's anybody better than him. Maybe as a football player in general, but at the running back spot, when he is on the field, when he's healthy, it's unmatched. So that's what you got to look for. I think that offensive line is always key for a team like this with the running, with the run game. That I'm buying that they're going to be right where they were. I think they will maybe have a little competition for this division with Washington. I'm a absolute Washington believer, but Washington's still very young, still some things to figure out. That I think it's right in the lap of Philadelphia to be right where they were last year.
Yeah. I mean, the Eagles defense last year was really young with Cooper DeJean and Quinyon Mitchell. And, I was not, I was just worried about that a little bit. And then boom, look, they go win the Super Bowl. Cooper DeJean has the best play of the Super Bowl probably. And, now they're all just 1 year older, more experienced, better. So I just feel like even though they got to the mountaintop last year and won the Super Bowl, for me, it still feels like the arrow is pointing up. But, we can't really talk about the Eagles too much. I feel like everything that's said has been said. They're great. They didn't lose anyone. They're young enough that they're just going to be better. I feel like with the Eagles, it's kind of all right there.
Yeah, kind of the same deal with how we spoke about the Bills. It's hard to give a huge breakdown of a team like the Bills, a team like the Eagles, when they are who they are. Not a lot of changes were made, but a few guys to look at: Lane Johnson, Dallas Goedert. These guys that might be getting a little older, huge pieces on this team, but they have to stay healthy. Obviously, the skill guys of A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith. But I look at guys like a Lane Johnson that are so important to this team. They bring in an A.J. Dillon. These are the kind of additions we're talking about, a backup running back who's been around for a long time. But Will Shipley is a young running back out of Clemson that is getting some people excited, maybe just for competent skill behind Barkley. That's all you're asking for at this point. Barkley's going to have to come off the field at some point. You have to have somebody. They do. But drafting guys like Andrew Makuba, starting safety from Texas. These are decent players they find at these value spots, whether it was Nakobe Dean and Jordan Davis. And Nakobe Dean's a big one. He's got to get healthy for that middle linebacker spot, undersized guy. But when he's on the field, he is a huge impact guy. You can say any team, it's all about the health. But I think that the Eagles showed last year that they just absolutely well-oiled machine, and they will continue to be that.
Yeah. Well, let's go to another team over there in the NFC East. Let's talk about the Dallas Cowboys. Jerry Jones, he did it. He traded Micah Parsons, surprisingly to most, I would say, for 2 first-round picks. And who was the defensive tackle that they got?
Kenny Clark, a 30-year-old. He will be 30 in a few days, in October, actually. 30-year-old, very good defensive tackle. But come on. Go ahead.
I thought, I saw the rumors that the Green Bay Packers were maybe trying to make the trade for Micah Parsons. And when you see the contract that they got and you hear about the contract that Dallas was offering, you knew that it was never going to happen with Dallas. They were so far on the opposite ends of the spectrum there. But I did feel like it would have took at least more than 2 first-round picks and a solid player. I feel like if that would have been the asking price, maybe Jerry Jones should have had some foresight and tried to make a move around draft time, and he could have gotten 2 firsts, 2 seconds, and a player. I feel like the package could have and should have been a lot bigger, but Jerry Jones says, hey, they might all be Micah Parsons. He might be drafting 2 more Micah Parsons with those first-round picks, so who knows? But you got Dak Prescott. You bring in Pickens from Pittsburgh, and you got Javonte Williams from Denver. Now there's your running back. Miles Sanders and Jadon Blue, the rookie out of Texas. Whenever they traded Micah Parsons, that to me was the punt on the season. That to me was and we knew they weren't going to compete to win a Super Bowl, but I did think that, hey, they could be scrappy and maybe they go 10-7. And Dak Prescott looks great, and this offense looks really good because I'm low on George Pickens. I've been low on George Pickens, but the receiving core for Dallas, this is one of the best that Dak Prescott has ever had the pleasure of playing with. Now, it's not like he's going to have a running game that's going to help that in any way at all. I don't think that, they haven't had a running game since Ezekiel Elliott was a good football player, and that was a while ago. But for Dallas, I think we're looking at 7-10 here. Maybe they, do the, hey, Dak, you're injured. Just sit out the rest of the year. Don't even worry about coming back. And they creep their way into like a top draft selection, but you can't get rid of maybe the best player on your team and expect to be fine after that. I really question Jerry Jones' move here. See, if you weren't going to pay Micah Parsons what he wanted, that's one thing. But how is this all you get for him? I know you've seen the memes where people went on Madden and tried to recreate that trade, and the video game is like, hey, this is the worst trade. This is not going to go through. There's no way this is going to go through. So I don't know. I'm low on the Cowboys.
As you should be. I mean, the Cowboy fans, you can't stand them, but I have some in my family. I love to rile them up, see how much I can affect their emotions, but it's easy to do. These are a emotional bunch and kind of have the right to be at this point. As long as you have Jerry Jones leading the charge, what can you have faith in at a management level at this point? I mean, you get 2 first-round picks. You get a 30-year-old defensive tackle who's very good, but you get 2 first-round picks from a team that's going to be good. I mean, a team that is probably ascending more than anything. So, more Ezerikus? I mean, what's it going to be? Another Micah Parsons? No. So, yeah, I think more of the story needs to be about how it got there. Jerry Jones trying to make handshake deals with players and not have agents involved. I think this is a big deal that going forward, if you're a free agent, who wants to be in that situation?
Right.
You want David Mulugeta to figure it out. Get me my money. You want your agent to be involved. And Jerry trying to bypass that on a good old boy handshake deal, ain't going to work, buddy. It's whatever time you think you're in, you're not. And now you're going to have one of the worst defenses in the league. When you look at their depth chart on defense, especially a defensive end, I mean, it's not pretty. You know, they're going to be a extremely shallow team as far as talent goes. I mean, even your corners. You run down this depth chart, but you're starting Malik Hooker, Deron Bland, Trevon Diggs. Okay, these are maybe the better names on this defense, but that's where it ends. I mean, the poor fans. You bring in a talent, which I'm high on George Pickens. I think offensively, I'm not totally out on this running game. I think Javonte Williams can be serviceable, but to have a talent on the outside like CeeDee Lamb and a 24-year-old ascending talent and Pickens, I'm all in on what this defense could be. As long as the offensive line is decent, you have what could be a top 10 tight end in Jake Ferguson that you don't have to ask. You can have a fully committee backfield of running backs, whether Jadon Blue steps up as a rookie, but Miles Sanders, I don't believe in that, man. But Javonte Williams, I kind of do. Can he be serviceable? Yes. It's a shame to me. I think they're going to be one of the worst defensive teams in the league. And then are we going to talk about Dak getting hurt midway through the season again? I mean, and then it's all gone to hell, everything. And then CeeDee Lamb, how long are you going to deal with it? I don't know. And Pickens, to me, seems like the world's kind of got to be perfect for George Pickens to hold it together. And you get to a team like Dallas with quite a bit of dysfunction. You wonder about how these 2 receivers are going to hold up, because at this point, those are your cornerstones, both on the outside. And Dak has to be healthy. I think Dak looks good. He's lost weight. You know, it's camp. But I don't know. Poor Cowboy fans, man. That is what it is. And as long as you've got Jerry, and without Jerry, you've got Steven. So good luck. I don't know what to do.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. Sorry, Cowboys fans. It's really all we have to say.
Your luck.
But
boy, do I hate your luck.
Yeah. Well, look, there's another team in the NFC East that you're really high on, the Washington Commanders. Root, why don't you go ahead and give us a little preview into them?
Washington Commanders. I'm high on them because of my adoration, my love for Jaden Daniels. I think that they are set for 12 years with him at quarterback. But you gotta pump the brakes. I do. I love Jaden Daniels. I think he's going to lead this team to a lot of success over the next decade. But you've seen them make some moves. They get a deal done for Terry McLaurin. I think that had to happen, even at 29 years old. I don't care about that. whether it's him, Cortland Sutton, those are two guys, same age. I love both their games a lot. They're perfect for their teams. Terry McLaurin, that deal had to get done. They do trade away Brian Robinson to the 49ers, and I think that's maybe just a show of how much maybe they like what they have. All the camp hype, the unbelievable hype around Ja'Cory Crosky-Merritt. We'll see. Pump the brakes on that. Pump the brakes. Chris Rodriguez will probably be day one starter, but Crosky-Merritt is an intriguing piece.
What about my guy Austin Eckler? You're forgetting about Austin Eckler. That's the starter.
I'm not. I think that he is, but he's at his age. I think Chris Rodriguez will handle goal line work. I think Eckler will still be serviceable, but they didn't need Brian Robinson when you have maybe a little bit younger but cheaper option in Rodriguez to handle the short yardage goal line work. Eckler can still come off the field, get rest, and maybe you get Crosky-Merritt on the field as much as you can. But I'm high on them. I'm high on them defensively. I'm high on their coaching staff. I think that they are primed to, maybe we see Philly, the timelines for both of those teams. We think those are the two best teams. We know that those are the two best teams in that division, that Philly get their success now, but we'll see how they sustain it over the long term. Washington is set up perfect to kind of take that division, whether it's now or very soon.
Yeah, the over-under for Washington is sitting there at 9.5. And look, Root, I know that Washington beat the brakes off your Detroit Lions when all your coordinators came back and you're supposed to all go win the Super Bowl. I know that you're probably feeling a little bit bitter about that. And you think, hey, if a team could dismantle us like that, they have to be some type of predestined Super Bowl contender for the future. But I'm here to let you know the Washington Commanders are not going to make the playoffs this year.
Oh,
you're not surprising anyone this year. Cliff Kingsbury's offense, it's a simple offense. Jaden makes his one read, his two read, or he runs. I think that now that people have seen it and that they've watched the tape, it's not going to catch them off guard this year. You also got to think they are by far, the oldest team in the NFL. And that's saying something with your 20-year-old quarterback. And I get it. You want to take advantage of his contract, so you load up all the other contracts. I get it. But I just don't think your average age on your defense being, 32 or something probably? I don't know. They're old as hell over there. I just think last year was a flash in the pan. It was a surprise. And I'm not saying, Jaden Daniels is never going to make it back. I'm just saying that this year, right now, where your number one running back is Austin Eckler, or this random rookie that everyone knows just because they're trying to get a fantasy football lottery ticket. Hey, newsflash, these things normally don't pan out. So if you're drafting him too high, good luck. I'm not doing it. I'm not willing to draft him where he's going at nowadays. Maybe a month ago, I might have taken him in a really late round. But look, the Commanders, I like Jaden Daniels. I really do. I like Terry McLaurin. I really do. But I just think last year it was the perfect storm. Everything worked out exactly how it's supposed to. And this year, I just think they're going to step back a little bit. I don't think they're going to be horrifically bad or anything. They might be that first team right there outside of the playoff, but I would expect a bit of maybe a sophomore slump, which is very common for a quarterback. Remember, we were all saying that C.J. Stroud was the best rookie quarterback of all time. People were saying that. I wasn't saying that, but people were saying that. And then last year, we were kind of like, C.J. Stroud, whatever. I don't know if it's going to be quite that way for Jaden Daniels this year, but I am lower than the consensus on Washington this year.
All right, let me reel myself back in a little bit. I do believe that Jaden Daniels, I agree with you on the Cliff Kingsbury offense, but I believe that Jaden Daniels I think he prepares in a way that I do not foresee a Stroud-like slump. But the test will absolutely be that Cliff Kingsbury offense this year. If it does appear, you've got to do something about it. If it comes out and it appears that everybody has figured it out because it is as simple as we think it is, or can he evolve in any way. But average age is 27. That is highest in the league. League average is 25, but their average age is 27. I get it. And I do skill position guys beyond Terry McLaurin at the receiver spot. You draft a rookie like Jalen Lane, but
we didn't talk about they bring in old man Deebo Samuel, who I like Deebo Samuel, but I just think, I don't know. Like I said, I don't think they're going to be bad, but also, look, I've got a very, very close relationship. It's a one-sided relationship with Dan Quinn, okay? If you can't tell by my background here with my Atlanta Falcons. When Dan Quinn gets to the top, whenever he hits a peak, he doesn't go higher. It just goes lower and lower and lower. And he still has his weird defensive issues where, he just plays back so far that if you throw a 5-yard slant or a 7-yard slant, you're going to get the first down because they're playing like 12 yards back because it's 3rd and 12. And it's like he doesn't know that, hey, they can just throw it 7 yards and they'll run 5 yards and you're not going to be able to stop them. And then they're going to get a first down every time. That used to happen all the time in Atlanta. I don't know. I just think defensively, they're not going to be any better, right? There's no way. It's not like they're young players that are getting older. They're old players that are getting older,
Yeah, I am going to remain fairly high on them.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess all things considered, the division they're playing in, they're going to be the second best team in that division. We know that. There's no question about that, I don't think. Now, you're not going to place Dallas or the Giants above them.
We got one more team we haven't talked about.
Okay. All right. I'll let you get there then. But Jay Daniels is the man. He will continue to be the man. He will succeed despite Cliff Kingsbury if he has to. I think that's the level I believe in his preparation. He's going to be there for a long time. So will their success.
All right. Well, hey, let's talk about that last team there in the division, the New York Giants. Russell Wilson's out there now. Jameis Winston. They draft Jackson Dart. They draft Abdul Carter. Malik Neighbors is out there. They got Cam Scatterboo. There's a lot of new blood out there for New York, and I don't think their defense is that bad. The past few years, they've invested into that defensive line and that offensive line. As kind of kooky and corny as that GM came off on that Hard Knocks offseason edition, which they never did again because of how bad it made the Giants look. No other team would ever sign up to do that ever again. But their defensive line is not bad, and their offensive line is not bad. Their skill positions were just horrible. And Brian Daboll, he's coaching for his life this year. And Russell Wilson didn't look bad in Pittsburgh. And even if Russell Wilson, the wheels do fall off, I don't think Jackson Dart's going to be that bad. I think the Giants this year are going to surprisingly be okay. I think they're going to be flirting with 500. I could see the realm where maybe they're flirting with a winning record and they're just this hard-playing, scrappy team, a lot like the New York team that Daboll took. Didn't he win Coach of the Year that year when Daniel Jones and them went to the playoffs and they beat Kirk Cousins and the Minnesota Vikings there in that first round? So, I think people rope the New York Giants just because they've easily become a butt of the joke, right? It's the Giants. They're horrible. They're going to have the first pick every year. I think this year, I don't have them making the playoffs or anything, but they're going to be, I think I could see them being kind of sneaky and surprising people in a week-by-week basis. Like, hey, we got New York on our schedule. Oh, this will be an easy one. And then all of a sudden, by the time you get to the end of the game, you're down by 4 and you're like, whoa, I thought we were going to win this by 14. So that's kind of just my feelings on the New York Giants. I kind of just think they're going to be pretty average, which is higher than a lot of people.
I agree with you. You're right. There is real talent all over this team. The defense putting in the investments into and the draft capital into Abdul Carter and Kayvon Thibodeau, bringing in a Brian Burns. You've got an ascending great young middle linebacker in Micah McFadden. Bobby Okereke, there's a lot of players on this team to be excited about. The running back, Tyrone Tracy, was really good last year. I expect him to kind of be the guy. Maybe we'll see what Scatterboo can be. I know you and I maybe pump the brakes on what we expect out of him, just as a player, as a pro, but Singletary, Tracy, Scatterboo, that can be okay. That can be pretty okay. My question will be with quarterback, and at what point? I love what I saw from Jackson Dart. He does play in a way that mistakes will be made, but how long do you wait? This is a young team with Malik Neighbors and these skill guys, these running backs. How long do you wait? You draft him early enough to where I think you want to see him. And I don't understand. I just don't know what the timeline will be with seeing Russell Wilson, what he can do, until you get to the point where you want to see the young guy. I think he was awfully exciting in the preseason. I know it's the preseason, but with the draft capital spent at the quarterback position, let him grow with these young players. It might have some ugly moments, but that's okay. It's all part of the growth. But then you can combat that with, okay, well, we do have a great defense. Maybe we can compete for something. But I don't think the playoffs are within reach. Therefore, I want to see the young quarterback because I love Jackson Dart coming out of Ole Miss, even coming out of an offense that people didn't know how pro style of an offense Ole Miss might be. But still, I like the prospect that he is. I'd love to see him with this young talent.
See, I just don't think you force it. I don't think you rush it. You let Russell, because this team the roster really isn't that bad, if we're being honest.
No.
And it's not. And the thing is, on the offense, it's not like there's a lot of veterans that he can lean on. Wide receivers, they're all just so young. Everyone's so young. That's why you need the veteran quarterback to benefit the growth of Malik Neighbors and Scatterboo, right? With Jackson Dart, we're all just growing together, and it's going to get ugly. And I don't think that's going to help Jackson Dart's progression any. If if they started him week 1, 5 weeks in, they're saying, "Man, Jackson Dart sucks." That's not good for anybody, right?
Well,
I think you just let Russell Wilson go. If Russell Wilson and if it's all just like, all right, we're really just not competitive, because I do believe that they believe they can be competitive, and Dayball knows they have to be. But if the wheels do fall off, we would see Jackson Dart. But I don't think you force Jackson Dart in there if Russell Wilson is playing fine enough. I mean, he looked pretty good with the Steelers. The Steelers are a way different organization and culture than the Giants, so maybe that's not the best comparison. But I don't know. I don't think it would be of any benefit to throw Jackson Dart out there too early. I mean, even Cam Ward, we know that he's going to be starting week 1, game 1 for the Titans. I bet if the Titans could, they'd probably maybe even like to have someone else to just at least for a little bit to let Cam Ward grow behind him, because I mean that's what works, right?
Yeah, maybe, but Cam Ward I think is ready, and different levels there. But Jackson Dart, definitely more of a raw prospect. And you're right, especially if you look at their schedule. It's a brutal start to the season with Washington, Dallas, KC, Chargers. You get the Saints, and then Eagles, Broncos, Eagles, Niners. I mean, it's a brutal schedule for them. So, yeah, you will see the absolute worst out of a rookie quarterback against a schedule like that. So I get it, but just kind of making it about.
And maybe it is selfish on Dayball because he knows he has to win this year. And maybe if he knew he had a 3-year leash, maybe he would work Jackson Dart in earlier, right? But he knows that if the Giants are a joke again this year, that he's gone and someone else is going to be coaching the quarterback that he went and drafted.
Yeah, I'm more so just making it about the timeline of the other talent, especially what I think and everybody else that Malik Neighbors might be a generational talent at wide receiver or just a great talent at receiver. We know that. Maybe their questions might be tight end, Theo Johnson. They've got some young guys at tight end too, but and maybe your 2 and 3 receivers is it Wan'Dale Robinson, Jalen Hyatt. There's maybe some questions there, but again, if that's what we're talking about, that's okay. You've got a really good team, especially on defense, that Russell Wilson can take it. Doesn't have to absolutely be a hero. You hope your young running backs can carry the load, but they won't be terrible. They won't get ran over. I think their record won't be great come to the halfway point of the year because of all the teams I just mentioned. They've got a brutal schedule.
Well, look, we're almost 30 minutes in, and we've only gone through one division, so we might need to pick up the tempo a little bit. We might need to run a faster tempo offense as we progress through these next few divisions. Why don't we go to the NFC West? Root, what team you want to talk about first out of there?
I will talk about, let's start to me at the top, and that's going to be the LA Rams. The LA Rams and this division, to me, might be the most interesting division in football this year. I think there's a lot of questions. I think top to bottom, there is talent big time that I think this might be the most compelling division in football this year. A lot of changes around this division. But let's start with the Rams. What is your thoughts on them?
Well, they re-signed Kyron Williams, which I loved. Get your running back, lock him in. That kind of shows, hey, we really believe this guy, and he's been really good. He's been really solid. So I think it's kind of a no-brainer that they did go and re-sign him. I love the addition of Davante Adams. I think this is going to be and Rams fans, don't get mad at me when I say this, but here's the TikTok clip for your Root. Davante Adams might be the best wide receiver that Matt Stafford has played with since Megatron. And I know that Cooper Kupp won the Triple Crown and they went and won the Super Bowl that year. I get that. But there are things that Davante Adams can do that Cooper Kupp just can't do. He's an X, right? He can go up there and get the jump ball. He can run like a beautiful post route or out route. And Cooper Kupp can do those things too. But Cooper Kupp was mainly like just an extremely efficient and elite slot receiving option. And I think now you can kind of have Puka play that as a little bit of the bolder bowling ball style big guy that he is. Because really, since Puka joined the team, we just never saw that much of Cooper Kupp. Cooper Kupp took a step down when Puka came onto the scene because I think Puka was taking a lot of the work that Cooper Kupp was known for. But now you got Davante Adams out there. I mean, that's going to take at least their best corner, maybe even two, their attention at all times. I think that's going to be great for Matt Stafford. Their defense, as good and as young as they are, and all their young elite defensive ends, I think they're going to be great for years to come. The only question I have with the LA Rams, and like you said, the top of the division, I'm right there with you. Matt Stafford and his back. Is this guy going to go out there and we're going to say, oh no, this is like that final year with Peyton Manning where we just were like, oh, the guy just can't throw the football anymore because, Root, look, I'm not playing any professional football or any really high level of football. To throw a football, you got to use your back. To play football, you got to use your back. So week one, after these games get underway, I'll have a lot more clarity on it. If Matt Stafford looks fine and it doesn't look like he's unable to hit Davante Adams, right, on all these elite routes that he's going to be able to get and put it in the bucket like that. But that's just my only question is Matt Stafford and his health and how that is going to affect the entire Rams team. Now, they got a pretty solid backup in Jimmy Garoppolo, but
now come on. All right.
If you're rolling with Garoppolo, though, then we know that the ceiling for the Rams gets a lot lower.
When you get to having to talk about Jimmy Garoppolo, that the conversation stops right there. Yeah. And it is about Stafford's health, but what protects it? It's his offensive line. And we have seen the Rams really struggle along the offensive line. And when they don't have it, they're bad. And when Stafford's not on the field, they're bad. Go back to 2022. I mean, Stafford out. That's when Baker Mayfield comes in, revives his career, but the offensive line was atrocious. And they are going to be as good as that offensive line. Their defense, they're really strong, but I am an absolute lover of Matthew Stafford. I will never be a Lions fan that turns on that man. I think he is absolutely not regarded as high as he should be as far as an all-time talent at quarterback, at just thrower of the football, an all-time talent. Anything that you want to give Mahomes credit for, Stafford was doing 10 years ago. But I believe that he has still absolutely got it. But you're right. There was a conspiracy theory that he was dead and they weren't telling us. That he was not anywhere near the practice field.
That they cloned him. Now they're saying that it's a clone that's taking his place.
Yeah, but I am a 100% believer in Matthew Stafford when he is on the field. But those skill guys, you were absolutely right about Devontae Adams, what he can bring. They're not talking about how do we replace Cooper Kupp. Not a question, not even a topic of conversation. It's no big deal. And because you're getting more from Devontae Adams, even at his over 30 years old age, he's still got it. I think far more than a DeAndre Hopkins. We talk about him going to a new team. What can he provide them? But no, Devontae Adams, different story. And Puka Nacua, people want to talk about a step back last year, but advanced analytics, when he was on the field, he was absolutely a force. And so a healthy Puka, Kyron Williams, you got him locked up. Blake Corum, drafted Jarquez Hunter out of Auburn, but the skill guys are all there. The defense is really good. I love Kobe Turner, Byron Young, Jared Verse. They're all the same age. They're all incredible along the defensive line. Braden Fisk. You bring in Poona Ford as your nose tackle. They've got talent everywhere along the defense. One of these teams that it's an opportunity for Sean McVay to have everything again. The last time they had a team like this, they won the Super Bowl. And it's all 100% dependent on offensive line and keeping Stafford healthy because he is the man when he is.
Yeah. All right. Well, let's talk about the team that Cooper Kupp now plays for, the Seattle Seahawks. Mike Macdonald, still out there, second-year head coach coming into the season. No more Geno Smith. Now they're rolling with Sam Darnold. They went and drafted Jalen Milroe. They said they're going to do some special packages just for him, but your receiving core is now Jackson Smith-Njigba and Cooper Kupp. And you also have Kenneth Walker. And if Kenneth Walker can ever just stay healthy, I think he'll be good. I'm looking through a fantasy football lens, I'm incredibly anti Kenneth Walker. But on a football field, I like Kenneth Walker. This team, I don't know what to make of them. They won 10 games last year, Root. 10 games. And I don't know if they got better or if they got worse. I'm really not sure. Darnold and Geno Smith had pretty comparable years last year. I think Sam Darnold had some more touchdowns, but how much of that was Kevin O'Connell over there at Minnesota? I really don't know. This is the weirdest team to talk about for me. I just feel like it's so up in the air. I could see them winning 4 games. I could see them winning 11 games. What is Cooper Kupp? Are we about to have a 600-yard, 6-touchdown year where we're like, that 1 year for Cooper Kupp was great, but that was about it? Or is Cooper Kupp going to, come onto the scene and have 1,100 yards, 10 touchdowns? I don't know. What's Jackson Smith-Njigba going to do? Is he going to continue taking a step up? Last year he had 1,000 yards for the first time. He's now that DK Metcalf and Tyler Lockett are out of the way. I don't know, man. This is the most confusing team, hardest to predict. What are you thinking about them?
I'm feeling pretty good that they are solid, and that is because Mike Macdonald is a defensive guru. We look around, everybody trying to find their offensive mastermind. Will McDonald is that on defense, and they will have a top 5 defense in the league that I think they will lean on heavily. They are young, and they are getting better. You look at their defense last year, maybe a weakest link was rookie Tyrese Knight in the middle linebacker spot, a year older. But Devon Witherspoon, they've got so much young talent on defense, and they were good last year. The second half of last year, they were near the top 10. They were in the top 10 on defense and a lot of different statistics. I think they're right back there, if not a lot better. Offense will be the big question. How much success will hinge on Kenneth Walker being healthy? When on the field, he's incredible. But I think Zach Charbonnet might be one of the best number 2 running backs in the league. I think they're absolutely okay with him as your number 1 because you kind of at this point have to maybe plan for that. It might come. Smith and Jigba, I think, is very good. Maybe a little bit of a step back, but I think that he's going to be okay. I think you are taking a bit of a step back, maybe very, very minimal at the quarterback spot. But Geno kind of had to step up and save the day quite a bit last year. I don't think Darnold is that. I think Darnold is slow and steady and can be safe. But again, this team is also one, just the past few years, heavily dependent on the offensive line and how good they are. I think tight end, you let Noah Fant go, he gets to Cincinnati. Now it's going to be between rookie Elijah Arroyo and one-year guy AJ Barner, but they must like them. You let Noah Fant go. So again, heavily dependent on what this offensive line is, because when Darnold is pressured, he is bad. He is bad. And when he was with Minnesota last year, it all fell apart when he got pressured. And when he's not, he can be very good and lead his team to a lot of wins. But Minnesota was very good and protected him well for the most part. But when they did not, he is atrocious. So that is the number one thing to me.
Yeah. Well, there at the end of the year, the Rams and your Lions started blitzing really heavily, and we saw Sam Darnold look like he used to look with the New York Jets. But to, I guess, counteract that point, that the Seattle Seahawks organization saw all that too. So I have to imagine they have some type of plan, right? You would think. They definitely can't just go into the season and hopefully no one ever blitzes. You know what I mean? But I don't know. Seattle Seahawks, they're a big question mark for me. But let's talk about another team in this division that there's a lot of question marks all over this division, but another one, the Arizona Cardinals. And I'm kind of high on the Arizona Cardinals. I like Arizona. I like Kyler Murray. Kyler Murray is a good quarterback. He's one of the better scrambling quarterbacks that we have. When you go look at all the stats, when he's healthy, he's good. Marvin Harrison Jr., can you show that you are the son of Marvin Harrison? There was so much hype around this guy coming into the draft. This is one of the best receiving prospects we had in so long. We didn't see it. He wasn't the top receiver. He was not. He might have been the third best behind Malik Neighbors and Brian Thomas. He might have been behind Ladd McConkey. I don't know. But if he can look great, I love Trey McBride, who is now the highest paid tight end in the NFL, right? Or right there behind George Kittle. I like James Conner. I think James Conner is really good. You have to be really good to be almost 30 and be a running back and get a contract extension. So I really like their offense. Their defense, who knows, right? I love who's their safety? Help me out here. Buda Baker. Buda Baker. He's great. He's elite. So as long as he's healthy and he's active, that part of their defense is going to be good. But I was high on Arizona last year. I had like the same prediction last year. But now I'm thinking, give Marvin Harrison another year. Let him get more comfortable one more year. I could see Arizona being frisky, being sneaky, maybe making a late playoff run potentially. I like Kyler Murray. What can I say?
Yeah, I don't as much as you. I do like a lot of talent on this team. James Conner was a fantasy league winner for me last year. Just as steady as can be, even at 30. But Marvin Harrison absolutely has to show that he's the man this year. Number 2 wide receiver, Michael Wilson. They're a young team. They get Josh Sweat to come off the edge on the defense. They're good, but again, I think you're in the toughest division in football this year. Last year it was all NFC North, but I want to focus on, and again, that division will be great too. We'll get to it, but I think just as far as a top to bottom compelling division, there's got to be a top, there's got to be a bottom. And I think they're going to be fighting it out with Seattle to show who is better for that bottom spot, or who's not going to take that. And again, I keep doing it, offensive line, the health of this team, Kyler Murray, very dependent. The running back, even at his age, James Conner, but Trey Benson, a lot of people like as the number 2 back. Trey McBride is perfect for this team. Kyler Murray needs a tight end that he can include in the offense in a big way, and he's got maybe the best. So they're going to be good. This is going to be such a scrappy division. I don't know how exactly the bottom shakes out. I think they're going to be neck and neck with Seattle. Maybe a slight edge to Arizona if all things are perfect, but I don't think they will be.
Yeah. All right. Well, hey, one more team here in the NFC West. More question marks. The San Francisco 49ers. No more Deebo Samuel. Juwan Jennings is hurt. I think every running back is hurt except Christian McCaffrey, and now Brian Thomas Jr., who's out there. Brock Purdy just got his nice contract. They've got the best all-around tight end in the league, and George Kittle, especially when it comes to blocking. Love me some George Kittle. Their defense, they've lost some pieces as the years have gone by from their Super Bowl contending days. But I just have to believe that last year it was just because of Christian McCaffrey being unavailable. It was because Ricky Pearsall was unavailable, their first round pick at wide receiver, who I saw at the Senior Bowl, and that was the most impressive. I remember last year, I thought Ladd McConkey looked great at the Senior Bowl in the one-on-ones, and I thought Ricky Pearsall looked really great at the Senior Bowl in the one-on-one. So now they're going to get him. He looked good at the end of the season last year in the few games that he played after getting back from being shot. And then Brian Thomas Jr. gets shot one time too, and that's why he was injured in Washington. So I don't know. Be careful, I guess. But I think Shanahan is a good coach. Is he a coach that can win a Super Bowl? I don't know. I talked about my beef I had with Dan Quinn. I love Dan Quinn still, but I have legitimate beef with Kyle Shanahan. I do not like Kyle Shanahan. He's the reason we lost the Super Bowl. But this team does still have Super Bowl, NFC champion DNA in it. A lot of these players have played in that game. And it can be tough coming right off the loss. Now there's a year between that where they did not live up to expectations. If Christian McCaffrey can stay healthy, and I've seen all these little off-season workout videos that he's doing with Luke and with Bijan, I think that this team rides or dies with Christian McCaffrey. And if Christian McCaffrey can give them 14 games, I think they'll make the playoffs. If Christian McCaffrey gives them less than 8, they're not going to make it. And I think it's just as simple as that. I think it all just rides on CMC.
It does. I'm also with you on the coach. Not a fan. I think he's so overhyped, but he's had to deal with a lot when it comes to injuries. And I don't know if I've seen in recent memory a more wide receiver desperate team. The moves they've made, they bring in Sky Moore from the Chiefs. I mean, they're trying to pick guys up left and right to see who can play the position for them. Rookie Jordan Watkins out of Ole Miss. I mean, a guy that I like a lot, but he's been banged up. We don't know when Ayuk will be back. It's really tough. Trent Taylor, Jacob Cowan going down their depth chart, all on IR. They have a real issue at wide receiver that Ricky has to be the man. For my fantasy team, Ricky has to be the man. And he's going to get every opportunity to get a ton of targets. And I like Ricky a lot. I think he's going to be very good for them. But that's that position. Far more important is McCaffrey. And with him not on the field, you do make a move. Like we mentioned, Brian Robinson, bringing him in, definitely a different kind of player, but a solid player. A solid player that can take a beating and give you a heavy workload as much as he needs to take on. He can do that. And maybe you try to limit, or you don't have to hang all the workload on McCaffrey at this point. I think he is as good as a number 2 that the Niners could have brought in. But defensively also, they will be good, but maybe some age of Nick Bosa, Fred Warner. We've got to see how these guys still are. Still, can these guys, the older guys, be healthy? They get draft Michael Williams on the edge out of Georgia. Like him a lot. He was a big impact player out of Georgia. He should play immediately day one. But I think the Niners, this is an awfully health-dependent division. We're talking about the Rams, and with its Stafford, that this one injury could shake this whole division. And every single year so far, it seems like the health is such a question with the Niners, but big holes at the wide receiver spot.
Yeah, that's right. All right, let's get to our next division. Let's talk about the NFC South. And we do need to kind of zoom through these next few. I know I said that earlier, but now I feel like we really need to. We're coming up on an hour. We haven't even got to our playoff bracket. But let's talk about the NFC South. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers have been running this division for a minute now. Let's talk about the Buccaneers. They tried to keep Liam Cohen, making the highest paid offensive coordinator in football. He does a little last-second switcheroo. He goes to take over the Jacksonville Jaguars, but the Buccaneers have lost their OC the past like 4 years in a row because they've always been good, and you just want to go hire them as your head coach. I love Baker Mayfield. I love Emeka Egbuka. Chris Godwin's going to be injured for the first few weeks, but you got Mike Evans. You also have Bucky Irving at running back, who really came onto the scene last year. I'm not as high on Bucky Irving as most just because of his size. I worry. Like, I think he's great. I just worry about, and maybe this is more from a fantasy perspective, but the investment in a small guy like that, truthfully. And because last year he was getting like 40% of the work really throughout the entire season. So if now he's going to get like 80% of it, I just don't know, right? I just hope he's able to hold up. But the key for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers is the defense. They've got the best defense in the NFC South. They have one of the better defenses in football. The Buccaneers are always solid. Todd Bowles knows what he's doing. I think the Buccaneers are going to be fine. I think Baker Mayfield is great. And it hurts me to say this, but I do think that the Tampa Bay Buccaneers are going to win this division once again.
That's a hard thing to say, I guess.
Yeah.
It should not be. They're going to be very good.
It's not hard, but it hurts.
I know it does. And you're right about the defense. I love some of their young guys on the edge. Yaya Diaby, Kalijah Kancey. They've got good players on the defensive line. We know Vita Vea is going to be in the middle. That secondary can be iffy for them. Whether it's Jamel Dean, Antoine Winfield, absolutely great win on the field. Health concerns with Winfield. A healthy secondary is a desperate need for them. That can be a hole for them. But Emeka Egbuka, he's going to be a big factor day one. He's going to have to be. Jalen McMillan just landed on the IR recently. He was probably their 3 receiver, 3 or 4. Would have been probably 3 with Egbuka, but now no doubt who number 2 needs to be. Mike Evans is Mike Evans. That man will not go away. I think he will still be as impactful this year as he was last. Bucky Irving is very, very good. I am high on him, but yes, he leapfrogged Rachaad White, but Rachaad White's still there. Young guy Sean Tucker, big guy out of Syracuse, number 3 back. I mean, they've got a running back room that is very solid. So, yeah, Bucky is going to be the guy, but Rachaad White, they can still, pass the ball to other guys at any moment. So Baker is the man. He is the starting quarterback for my fantasy team. He was a top 5 quarterback in fantasy last year. I love Baker Mayfield. He is in the perfect spot. Losing his OC, I think they'll be okay. If they can get their receivers healthy, if you can get Godwin to play 10 to 12 games, that would be great. But again, another guy that's had his health problems as well. But I think they're going to be very good. They will win this division very easily.
All right, let's talk about the Carolina Panthers. Bryce Young, towards the end of last year, he started to figure it out a little bit. Won a nice little shootout there with my Atlanta Falcons there to close out the year. They add Teteroa McMillan, who doesn't like to be called Tet. He likes his full name to be said, Teteroa. So I will do him that service. Or he says he likes the nickname T-Mac. I'm not going to do that one. Teteroa. We'll go with that. He's great, though. I'm so high on him. Now, they just traded Adam Thielen away. I do think that they wouldn't have made that trade if they knew that Jalen Coker was going to go on the IR like the very next day. But I like Chuba Hubbard. Chuba Hubbard's fine. This team's not going to do anything this year, guys. Let's just be completely honest with ourselves. I think you just hope that this is what the Panthers fans need to hope for this year. Can Bryce Young really be our quarterback of the future? This is the year to prove that. I know his receiving core is so young. But they are talented. Bryce Young just has to prove that he can do it. If he can turn those last 2 games of last year and kind of expand that over a 17-game season, get your 5th-year option. Maybe we're talking about a big contract extension. And I do think, for Panthers fans at least, if you see the spark, you re-sign him now. He's not going to be commanding this $55 million contract that like Tua and Trevor Lawrence are getting, even though maybe a lot of people don't think that they're even worth that. But we know, not to offend anyone, Bryce Young is not worth that right now. So if Bryce Young does show enough flashes, maybe you're getting him on a long-term deal for closer to kind of what Sam Darnold is making on an extended contract, which is good, because if Bryce Young can really become a great quarterback, then you're going to have a really good value and you're going to be able to build a great roster around him. But this Panthers team, they're going to win 6 to 7 games this year, and you're just hoping and rooting for Bryce Young, I think, if you're a Panthers fan.
You are. Despite being a quarterback from the University of Alabama, I am rooting for him at this point. I think, I don't know what it is about him, but whether it's having to deal with the state of the Panthers, you want to see him succeed at this point. And he's got a little bit better talent around him this year, a full opportunity for it to be his team this year. Young tight end Jatavian Sanders, I'm excited about him. I think Chuba Hubbard is better than okay. I think he is very good, kind of the perfect vet now running back for this team. Tataroa is going to be great immediately, I believe. Xavier Legette, we've got to see a little more from him.
Yeah.
But trading Adam Thielen, yes, you hate that. Jalen Coker was going to slot in to be a big part of this offense. Now you have to bring back Hunter Renfrow, who will be on the active roster. Defensively, young guys, Derek Brown out of Auburn, J.C. Horn. You've got some really good players, Trevin Wallace, really good players on defense. There are holes, but those are your top guys on defense. I think that they will not be the worst team in this division because New Orleans does still exist. But I think we're going to see maybe a little bit of a bright spot here and there for the Panthers.
Yeah, let's talk about the New Orleans Saints.
Yeah.
Oh man, this just fills me with joy. The New Orleans Saints. God, who? Mickey Loomis? What the heck are you doing? Are you getting like side checks from my guy Arthur Blank over in Atlanta? Jeez, the 40th overall pick, the 8th pick in the second round, you go and take Tyler Shuck. And I get it. It's not a first round quarterback. I totally get it. But damn, why did you take him in the second round then? If he can't beat out Spencer Rattler, didn't y'all draft him in the 5th round the year before? Tyler Shuck looks so bad. If you can't beat Spencer Rattler, you're not going to be able to beat anybody. That was the easiest job for a quarterback to win. If they would have took Shadur Sanders in the 5th round, Shadur Sanders would be starting week 1 of the NFL season. Who signed off on this? If this was Kellen Moore's pick, I think you got to be worried about Kellen Moore's decision making and what he sees in players that he likes. Alvin Kamara is so old. Chris Olave. I'll say this: at least Chris Olave can admit, I don't even think I'm worthy of a big contract yet because I haven't proven it. I haven't been healthy enough. All right, well, let's see if you can this year. I know you got the Guardian cap on. We'll see if that can help, and I hope it does for his sake. But gee whiz, the Saints, man, what a dumpster fire. They tried to juice that orange from the Drew Brees rosters and all the success they've had from then. And, man, now they're just holding a dry old orange peel in their hand. And they ain't getting no more juice out of it. It's time to just blow it up. Get all these old guys out of here. Be horrible. They're going to be. If you don't want, I'm sorry. This Saints team is going to be the worst team in the league. And then it's not even, that's the whole thing. It's not just, all right, the roster's bad. If we make some smart moves, we're going to bring it back. Why the heck did you trade a 4th and a 7th round pick for Devon Vele, who was a 7th round pick last year? And he got drafted last year. He's 27 years old, Root. What are we doing? Tyler Shuck's 26. Vele is 27. I like Devin Neal out of Kansas. I'll give him that. But gee whiz, man. I'm just, as a Falcons fan, and I hope some Saints fans are watching this. And comment. I want to hear your defense of this, because I've yet to hear. I know some Saints people, they can't defend it. They have no explanation. They're like, we don't know what's going on. I got to go get me a brown paper bag to put my head in again. The Saints are so bad. They're going to be the worst team in the league. A little bit ago, their over-under win total was at 6.5, and I did not put my life savings on that in the moment, and I regret that every day. Now their win total is at 5.5. You gotta smash. There's no way that this team can go 6-11. There's no way.
No, yeah, it is a bad place to be as a fan when you have no way to defend your team other than say, yeah, we suck, we're stupid, everything we've done recently is terrible. Gail Benson, you're at the top. Look down from there. It's bad. Mickey Loomis, you're a dumbass. You have to figure it out at this point. You draft Tyler Shuck and he's not going to play for you. That was the worst quarterback draft pick I've ever seen, maybe. Yeah. But
and right before, this next draft where you're going to have all these great quarterback prospects, now it's like, all right, you're going to draft a quarterback next. yeah. Based off how they play, that's true. But you're going to go draft Nussmeier. He looked good.
Yeah, he's the only one.
So it's like, you wasted this pick, because if they would have drafted even a mediocre, and let's hope Tyler Shuck's mediocre, but if they would have drafted a mediocre corner, O lineman, D lineman, linebacker, you could have mixed them in. You could have found a way to, work them in. With a quarterback, you're only ever playing one. So what the heck is the point of drafting a quarterback that you cannot play? I don't get it. Saints fans, I'm sorry.
Terrible. And even before you drafted Shuck, there were some things that you've seen from Spencer Rattler that you didn't hate. So you could have gone out and spent that draft pick on an offensive lineman, on a defensive lineman. And if you did want to tank for a quarterback like Arch Manning, who can't throw well, has horrible mechanics, now that we have seen that in week 1, but I don't know. Now you're in big trouble looking forward. But no, you spent up draft capital on a wide receiver that, your number 2 wide receiver, number 3? I mean, absolutely boneheaded decision making. And now Alvin Kamara, poor Alvin Kamara, trade him, get him somewhere that he can,
free that man.
Yeah. I look at this team and it's unbelievable that you've let it get to this point from where you were not too long ago, at least being somewhat relevant. Now you look around. If you're in this division, you look at Tampa Bay and you're like, man, that can't be us. We're so far from that, from what Tampa Bay has built. We're so far from that. Even if you look at the Panthers, if you're a Panthers fan, you might not hate where you are. You've got something to be excited about. You said it with Olave and the concussions, the injuries. Can he be healthy enough and not have that happen again? Scary thing if it does, but it's hell for the Saints.
Yeah, that's right. All right, let's talk about my Atlanta Falcons. Oh, gosh, they love to hurt me, but I'm believing this year that they won't. I am worried about Caleb McGarry being hurt, our right tackle, because Michael Penix is a left-handed quarterback. That's his blind side now. That does scare me, but I guess we do have the best backup quarterback in the league. That's a good thing, but Bijan Robinson, he is such an elite talent, one of the best running backs in the league. Drake London, he's great, one of the best wide receivers in the league, and I think we're going to finally really see that this year. We saw it a good bit last year, but this year I think he's really going to take off. Kyle Pitts, is he 100% healthy? I really believe that last year he just was not 100%. It looked like he was moving slow, couldn't run a clean route, and there's no way that guy was getting drafted as the 4th overall pick in the draft if that's just who he was. I just think there's something going on there, and I'm hoping he's going to be fine. Him and Michael Penix play golf together. I love that. I love those random little BS little stories. And Michael Penix Jr., if you're just a box score watcher, then you're going to say, he was only 3 touchdowns, 3 interceptions last year. He only completed, barely 60%. No. If you watched it, he was ripping that thing. He made some throws that some quarterback, like in just those 3 games, he had highlight tapes of some of the best quarterbacks have throughout an entire season. He forces some tough throws. Now, that does worry me a bit that maybe he leads the league in interceptions or something by force feeding it, because he reminds me, and we talked about Matt Stafford earlier, Michael Penix reminds me so much of Matt Stafford. He is not going to run the ball. He is not a dual threat quarterback like every other quarterback seems to be. Drake May, J.J. McCarthy, even Caleb Williams a little bit had some pretty good rushing stats last year. Michael Penix is not that. He is a pocket passer, maybe one of the last pure pocket passers to really come out of the NFL draft and be drafted and valued as highly as he is. But Zach Robinson last year, first time being an OC, first time being a play caller. I really thought he started to figure it out there towards the end. My only worry is I really hope we don't force and like we're banking on Michael Penix Jr. to do too much. Because at the end of the day, he has only played 3 football games, So let's not, he doesn't need to be attempting 45 passes a game or something like that. You've got Bijan Robinson. You've got Tyler Algier. And when Arthur Smith was here, we were one of the best rushing attacks, and the offensive line has pretty much been the same. We got a new center, and like I said, our right tackle's gone, but we're a good run-blocking team. The thing that has killed Atlanta for so long is our defense. And boy, did they address that in the offseason. Jesse Bates is the best safety, maybe the best defensive one of the best defensive players in the league. Love that guy. But now you're adding Billy Bowman, Xavier Watts from Oklahoma and Notre Dame. They're starting week 1. You also add Jalen Walker and James Pierce Jr. Now, if Micah Parsons was available for trade back in April, I don't think either of those 2 guys would be on our team, and I think we would have Micah Parsons. But I love Jalen Walker. And James Pierce, if you can go back in time to 2024, the summer of 2024, the way too early mock drafts, year in advance mock drafts, James Pierce was the first overall pick. Go look at him. Go look at those mock drafts. But he slipped. He kept slipping. I don't know if it's like character issues. Does he take football that seriously? I don't know. Hey, James Pierce is gonna be nasty. He is so fast. And he looked elite in preseason. He looked elite in fall camp. And he's got a little bit of MF-er in him. He gets in fights with people. And I like that. Even the offensive line for Atlanta said it. Yeah, James Pierce, he gets in fights, but it's going to help us in the football season. So there's no bad blood. They know that they just love his intensity. I think James Pierce Jr., hey, maybe my dark horse for defensive rookie of the year, because he's going to be one of the fastest edge rushers in the league. And if Atlanta can play their cards right, and gee whiz, fingers crossed, I hope they do. And I didn't even say the thing that we're all kind of forgetting about. You know who our defensive coordinator is now, right? Jeff Ulbrich, who's the father of the guy who did the Shadur prank call, but also the defensive coordinator for the New York Jets. And the only reason Aaron Rodgers ever went to the New York Jets is because he thought they had a Super Bowl contending defense over there. Now, what we most recently remember Jeff Ulbrich for, and I think that's why maybe we're lower on him now, is because he was the interim head coach for the Jets when everything went to hell. But when he was just the defensive coordinator, that defense was nice. They were nasty. They were mean. And that's something Atlanta's been lacking. And if we can have that, and James Pierce and all these young rookies are going to be immediate contributors to this team, I don't know, man. I like Atlanta. I like Atlanta.
To do what? What do you like Atlanta to do this year?
I like them to be a wild card team.
Oh, wow.
And I wouldn't put it out the realm of possibilities where that's another thing. We almost won the division last year. If the Saints wouldn't have just said, hey, Mike Evans, here you go. Get your 1,000 yards and your 10 touchdowns. We don't want to end your streak. I don't know what the hell they were thinking. That's another reason I hate the freaking Saints. But we almost won the division last year. And I think we're better this year. We're more established this year. We should be competitive for the division, but I did pick Tampa Bay, but I think Atlanta, they ought to win 10 games this year. Their schedule's not crazy. All right, go ahead. Bring me down to earth.
I won't too much just because I also like so many of these players. I think 8 wins might look a little more realistic, but to be a wild card team, that means there's a really good team elsewhere that's not a wild card team that I don't see Atlanta being better than. But I don't know, man. It's your team. I'm going to let you do most of the talking, as you already have. But the Penix to London connection will be big time. I think Drake London, I think that duo right there is going to just burst onto the scene this year. I'm a Penix believer. He can make every throw. He can make throws maybe half the league can't make. I love him as a quarterback. And that Caleb McGarry injury is a big deal. Very big deal. and we'll see if they can plug that hole up. But yeah, I'll tell you about who I know. That's Jalen Walker out of Georgia. He was an absolute motor for Georgia. Not the biggest guy, 6'2", 250, but he's just an animal. His motor doesn't quit. Michael Williams out of Georgia that went to the 49ers, we mentioned him. He's the prototype. He's the 6'5", 265, 270 defensive end. Jalen Walker was all over the place, but was as disruptive, if not more so. But yeah, I mean, you're right. That defense, we know Jesse Bates. I don't think he's the best safety in the league, but we'll get to who is in a minute. Yeah, so you're right. I think they're a good team. They're coming up. Jeff Ulbrich, that's a great coordinator, perfect to run this defense, and they will be good so long as they can stay healthy. The wide receiver depth, maybe I don't love that a lot. I like Darnell Mooney, but beyond that, kind of worries me a little bit. And then Kyle Pitts, what are we going to get? Let's see it, man. I don't know. But you that's your team, buddy. I'll let you have talked the most about them.
All right. Fair enough. Well, let's go over to the NFC North, which houses your team, the Detroit Lions. We'll finish it off with the Detroit Lions. Let's talk about the Green Bay Packers, who now have Micah Parsons, the youngest team in all of football. You got Jordan Love. Josh Jacobs was great last year. And they got a lot of good wide receivers. They had Matthew Golden, their first-round pick at wide receiver in decades, who I'm not the highest on, but I do kind of believe in the scouting, and, I think that he should be fine, right? I think I was just kind of lower on Texas last year than others, but you got Matthew Golden, you got Romeo Dobbs, Jaden Reed, you got Reed, isn't that his name? Jaden Reed, is that who I'm thinking of? Yeah, Jaden Reed. Their offense is good. Their defense is good. They don't have Jair Alexander anymore. He's over there in Baltimore with Lamar Jackson again. But this Packers team just feels good for 10 wins. Every year, it just feels good for 10 wins. And now adding Micah Parsons, to me, that just enhances it. So I like the Packers. I'm really high on the Packers. I got the Packers winning this division. I know you probably would not agree with me on that. But yeah, so I'm high on Green Bay. I like them. I think everyone's going to take a step up. Nobody is taking a step down.
Yeah, they won't win the division. They'll be solid. I think they have a really good offensive line. Zach Tom is one of the best tackles in the league. I'll start kind of boring there, but you've got to have it, and they do. And they plan to run the ball. Hopefully Josh Jacobs can stay healthy all year. He is absolutely great when he's on the field. I'm not a Jordan Love believer. I mean, is he good? Yeah, I think he is. But did we want him to be better than he is? I think a lot of people did. I think a lot of people tried to want to slap great on him, and I don't think he is there yet. I do believe in Matthew Golden as a rookie receiver, going to be an impact guy immediately. But giving up Kenny Clark out of the middle of the defense for Micah Parsons off the edge, yes, you do that every day of the week. But, I mean, look, Quay Walker, Devontae Wyatt, two guys out of Georgia, Edger and Cooper, a middle linebacker I love. Keyshawn Nixon will take over a starting cornerback spot. Nate Hobbs. Xavier McKinney is one of the best safeties in the league. They're nasty on defense, and that will help them out in a big way. If Jordan Love doesn't want to be great, they've got other places to lean. And I think that, wide receiver might kind of Jaden Reed, Matthew Golden, Romeo Dobbs, kind of similar. They don't have a true big guy. But Golden and Reed are very good and crafty, especially Reed. Golden's more of a physical specimen, but they're going to be very good. They're not going to win this division, though.
Yeah. All right, well, let's talk about a team that is now coached by your former offensive coordinator, the Chicago Bears. Caleb Williams, nail polish and all, he's out there. They get my guy, Grady Jarrett, out of Atlanta. They also take our center. They also got the kind of switch left guard, left tackle center guy from Kansas City. They made a trade to get him out there. They go in the draft and get Luther Burden and Colston Loveland, just adding more options, to Roma Dunze, who they drafted last year. Their defense last year was solid. their defense was pretty good. I think the Bears should be good this year, but I could see it maybe being like a year of growing pains. I don't know how I feel about Ben Johnson as a head coach. Is he one of those guys where it's just like, he's just a great coordinator. He's not a head coach. Can he rally the troops like that? He just doesn't give me the charisma that a lot of great head coaches have. But, I don't know much about him. So we'll learn more about him this year. But I think Caleb Williams is a great quarterback. All right. I don't think that everything at USC and all the hype, I don't think we just made all that up out of nowhere like maybe we're doing with Arch Manning. I think Caleb Williams should be good. Maybe it'll take some time to learn an actual offense because he was not running an offense. I think even Ben Johnson said, there's no carryover from last year. We have to basically relearn and start from scratch because Caleb Williams learned absolutely nothing his rookie year. And we all clown on Caleb Williams for struggling, but he really wasn't that bad if you look at the stats. And the offensive line wasn't doing him any favors at all. So I think the Bears I think they're going to be fine. I think they could surprise some people. I think it's a bit early for them to make a playoff run or anything like that based off everyone else who's in the division with them and what their schedule looks like. But I can see it working. I just need to see if Ben Johnson really is the great head coach that he is. It's almost like I feel like I'd be higher on Chicago if Ben Johnson was their new offensive coordinator and they had another head coach. I just need to see it.
I'm with you. I'm fading the head coaching abilities of Ben Johnson all the way. We'll see. That's just a gut feeling off his personality. Kind of weird coordinator personality, if you know what I mean. I think that's a real thing. But can he lead this group, a group of a lot of big personalities, a lot of young guys, a quarterback that he's going to step in it? Is he talented? Yeah. Oh, yeah, he can make a lot of plays, but he's going to step in it. I think that Luther Burden was a great get out of Missouri. I think that they've invested heavily into these weapons, but to still have a DeAndre Swift and DJ Moore you can lean on, veteran presence, I think they're going to be good. They're going to be entertaining at least. But will they turn it over in a big spot to lose a game? Yeah, that's going to happen this year. I think it's going to take some time. If Ben Johnson thinks he can just roll in there and install the same exact offense that Detroit was running with these guys, younger guys, I don't think so. I think it might.
And you got to think the anchor of all the crazy tricks and stuff that Detroit would run. The anchor of it is the elite rushing attack of Montgomery and Gibbs, and the running backs in Chicago are not good.
No, I mean I do like DeAndre Swift. I think he can be if he can play a whole year, he is very good to me. But beyond that, Roschon Johnson, you got a rookie too, Kyle Monin guy. But yeah, you're right. But with what Detroit can do to scare you with Gibbs and Montgomery, that everybody has to be on alert for everything. And you had that system so fine-tuned to pull off the kind of plays Detroit did last year. You're not going to just put those plays into this playbook and they're going to work. It's going to take a lot of time. And I think Caleb Williams might lose you more games than he wins you at this point. That's only at this point. That can change. I believe in his talent. But I feel like we hear the Bears making more moves than anybody, which maybe they have. I mean, just the amount of additions that they've made to this team. They're always in the hunt, it seems like, for bringing players in. And they have been very busy. I think on defense, they've got a lot of good names. They will be good. They'll be fighting it out with the Vikings, two teams, two young quarterbacks trying to figure out who's going to be better.
All right, well, let's talk about another team in the NFC North with some question marks. They were supposed to start this guy at quarterback last year, but weren't able to, and I guess it worked out in their favor, at least in the regular season, not in the playoffs. But the Minnesota Vikings, J.J. McCarthy, he's healthy. He's been handed the keys, and a lot of people are just thinking, hey, it doesn't matter who the quarterback is. Kevin O'Connell is going to make them a star. J.J. McCarthy, if we go back to that NFL draft, he was the quarterback prospect I was the lowest on. I was like, they didn't even have to throw the ball in Michigan. Why are we drafting him in the first round? He felt like he should have went where Tyler Shuck went, to me. But I don't think that Minnesota says, hey, Sam Darnold, you played great this year, but we don't want you, if they didn't really believe in J.J. McCarthy. We know they've got Justin Jefferson. Their defense is always sturdy. Their offense is always sturdy. I just think they're going to have a bit of a dip just because new quarterback and a bit of a learning curve. I think I see them going like 7-10. I think there's just going to be some growing pains with the new quarterback. And Aaron Jones, he's older, but you go and trade for Jordan Mason. I actually really did like that move. Maybe Jordan Mason is taking over that backfield once we get towards the end of the season. But I would say no, Vikings definitely probably not making the playoffs. And they honestly might even come in last in this division, but they might be close to 500, and that all could be true at the same time, I think.
I agree. They had to make that move to get Adam Thielen back to Minnesota. Some questions with their receivers, Jordan Addison being suspended, Aaron Jones, 30-year-old running back. I think the biggest move they made was bring in Jordan Mason to back up Aaron Jones. Jordan Mason filled in for the 49ers last year and was the biggest possible fantasy pickup you could have made. And he's younger and he's very good. And if you can, Aaron Jones, we'll see what he can give you. But Jordan Mason as that backup running back, that was one of my favorite moves that they made. Defensively, they're very good. Offensive line, very good. And they can bring McCarthy along in a way that they can be patient. But McCarthy can do things that Darnold couldn't. Athletically, he's just got to be able to be poised and make all the throws. Because with perfect protection, we saw that Darnold was able to make the throws and get it to the weapons. That's all you got to do. But the receivers have to be healthy, get Addison back on the field. Maybe Thielen can be serviceable. I think he still is. But their defense is good enough that, again, I do think it's going to be them and the Bears fighting it out. I might give a slight edge to Minnesota still. I do believe in J.J. McCarthy as a pro moving forward, especially what he can do with his mobility. I think it brings a lot.
All right, Root. Last team to get to, the Detroit Lions. They fell short of expectations last year, but I guess the expectation was Super Bowl, so you can't really knock them too much. But I'll give you the floor. Let's hear the preview. What are you thinking about the Lions? I already said I got the Packers winning this division.
I think they're going to do it, buddy. I think this is it. I think that they're not going to win maybe 15 games again. I think that they can win 12, 13, but be better suited as a playoff team. I think, man, they were riding so high, and you just ran into something with Washington. And honestly, I did not like the way Ben Johnson called that offensive game against Washington. They went away from the run in a way that you can't do. They were running the ball well, and that's what you have to do. John Morton, the new offensive coordinator, don't be surprised if there is no drop-off, if not an upgrade. And that's going to be hard to say. But John Morton is a ball coach, and this team will play for him. And I think that they're question marks. I mean, at this point, you have to look on the defense. Last year, at most of the year, they had 19 guys on the IR. Unbelievable amount of injuries. Week after week, they dropped like flies. Aleem McNeil, Aiden Hutchinson, they all missed time. Anzalone, everybody. But it was incredible. I've never seen anything like it. An NFL team lose these amount of players, and mostly on defense. Big question mark are going to be your corners. They did bring in DJ Reed from the New York Jets. Smaller guy, 5'8", he'll play immediately. He will start immediately. You draft Harry and Arnold out of Alabama, and a step up has to be made by him this year. He is your number 2 corner. He was very physical and handsy and penalized last year. Talent is there, but he has got to clean that up. The linebacker spot, I love Jack Campbell in the middle with Anzalone. Those two guys are very good. And everything people are saying about Aiden Hutchinson is he is back, and that with the surgery he had, with the metal in his leg, it can heal back stronger than it was before, than the natural bone was before. And people are saying he's back. And if that's the case, then he'll return to what he was. But the opposite defensive end side, fans are begging for something. They have 3 defensive ends on their roster right now. and they did not make a move, and they filled all their roster holes. A few days, they got down, made all their cuts, and they got down to 50 players, 3 roster spots, no defensive ends, a couple safeties, but that's a big question. Everybody wants them to bring Zadarius Smith back. He was very good for them last year when he had to be. But I think they talk about they want to have Gibbs and Montgomery on the field together more. I don't know. But those 2 running backs, it's the best running back duo in the league by far. And Goff is Goff. He is solid, but I think he can lead this team. I think Jamison Williams, watch him take a sizable step up this year as more of a well-rounded receiver. But they're going to do it this year, buddy. It's laid out perfectly for them. It's going to happen.
All right. Well, let's get into our playoff predictions then. Let's go through our seeds and our matchups. So for me, I have the Philadelphia Eagles as the 1 seed getting the bye. Who do you have as your 1 seed? Your Lions or no?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, the Lions of Detroit. Yes.
All right. As my 2 seed, I got the Green Bay Packers, who are going to win the NFC North. And I have them facing my lowest ranked wild card team, the 7 seed Atlanta Falcons.
Yeah, no, I have Lions number 1. Number 2 would be the Eagles of Philly playing the lowest seeded wild card team, the Green Bay Packers.
Okay. All right. And then in my next one, I have my 3 seed, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, who won the NFC South, taking on the San Francisco 49ers, who squeak in as a wild card. That was the toughest one for me to slot in, the Niners. I thought maybe Commanders. I thought maybe do I show my balls and go Arizona? And then I was like, nah, no one wants to see that. So
you love Arizona, man. Show them. Come on. You talk so high about Arizona, but
so
I
went Niners.
I did too. Same thing. Bucks, Niners.
Okay. All right. And then for my 4-5, I have the LA Rams, who win the NFC West, taking on the highest ranked wild card team by a decent margin, in my opinion, your Detroit Lions.
Yeah, no, I've gotten the Lions out of the way. I do have Rams, and then I have the Washington Commanders.
Okay, yeah, see, no Commanders for me.
I noticed that
in my playoffs. But all right, well, then let's go through the matchups then. So, out of my Packers-Falcons matchup, as much as it hurts me, I did go with the Green Bay Packers. I'm worried about. We just have an offensive line that's built for run blocking, and that does concern me a bit. So I actually did go with the Packers. I actually wouldn't be surprised if the Falcons could maybe pull something off. I don't know, but I'm obviously biased. But I got the Packers winning and advancing. Then I have the Tampa Bay Buccaneers defeating the Niners in Tampa. And then I have your Lions upsetting the Rams in SoFi and advancing to where my next round is Eagles versus Lions and Bucks versus Packers.
Yeah, I would have the Eagles over the Packers. I would have the Bucks over the Niners, and I would have the Rams over Washington. The Rams, to me, man, are going to be a team to watch this year. I just hope they're healthy, because if they are, I think they're going to be special.
See, I just don't know if they're going to be healthy. The back stuff worries me. The age of everyone worries me. Devontae Adams, as much as we hyped him up and how great he is 32 years old, and he'd probably be 33 by this point in the season. All right, so then in my, I guess, quarterfinal or divisional round, I got the Eagles defeating the Lions, and advancing to the NFC Championship. And I have the Packers defeating the Tampa Bay Buccaneers and advancing to the NFC Championship. And I got Eagles, Packers in the NFC Championship. And once again, the Philadelphia Eagles will advance to the Super Bowl.
Lions would be, let's see. You got to help me on the seeding here a little bit. But the Lions, I would have beating the Rams.
Yeah, they would play whoever your lowest seed is that advanced.
Yeah,
and won.
Lions beating the Rams. Eagles and Bucks. Man, I love the Bucs. I want to pick
Bucs
the Bucs.
beat the mess out of the Eagles last time they played in the playoffs, right? In that round 1.
Give me the Bucs. I'm high on the Bucs. I like the Bucs. Yeah. And then at that point, it's the Lions.
Oh, yeah. I figured. All right. So my Super Bowl then, if you listen to our AFC playoff predictions and breakdown, we both went with the Ravens. So I've got Ravens-Eagles, Battle of the Birds. And, man, we're all excited and happy that Lamar Jackson and Derrick Henry got there. And, wow, this is great. But unfortunately, the storybook ending does not come for the Ravens. And the Eagles go back to back and once again are Super Bowl champions. And people are talking all type of crazy about Jalen Hurts and his legacy now that he has 2 Super Bowls attached to his name.
I think it's a Super Bowl everybody wants. They want the Ravens. They want the Lions. I think that's what everybody wants. And I think that's what we get. And there is a parade in the 313 in Detroit. And I will be there for it. This is the year. I know it with my heart that we'll see.
And what were you saying last year? What were you saying last year?
No, we'll see. Oh, it was all we'll see. Yeah. No, this, all the talk of losing the coordinators, they're going to be fine. And I'm all in. Ravens, Lions.
Right. Well, Root, next time we talk, we're going to be recapping week 1 of the NFL season. Isn't that crazy?
I'm ready, man. Let's get these previews out of the way where we pretend we actually can tell what's going to happen. Let's react. I can't wait. We've got games this week. Yeah, man, we're ready.
That's right. Well, Root, man, I appreciate it. And I look forward to covering week 1 with you on our next episode of Weekend Rewind.
All right, buddy. Always a pleasure. We'll see you.
Yeah. Hey, guys, be sure that you're liking, commenting, subscribing on everywhere you get little shorts, long-form videos, podcasts. Helps us out a lot. And, yeah, let's see who's going to be more depressed, the Falcons fan or the Lions fan. We're used to it. So we'll see. All right. Till next week. Later, Root.